Crossover. Oh, killer crossover. Just crossover. It just crossed him over next to him. Another victim to the crossovers. Cross him up and sit him down.
The crossover is powered by Everlevel Concrete Repair in Omaha at everlevelconcrete.com.
Hi,
That's
how are
a hell
we?
of a read.
Thank you. I focused really hard on the word concrete because I will never say concrete again.
How do we learn? We learn by failing, right?
I'm glad.
I failed a lot today.
It's the best teacher.
I'm glad that you mispronounce words and then you swear that you'll never mispronounce those words again. I think some people wish other zone hosts
Matt,
were like
today
you.
I was doing a thing where I was taking the word that was coming after another word and putting it before it. So instead of country of Canada, it was Canada of country.
I love that. Very Latin of you.
Yeah, it was.
I was thinking it was more Yoda of him.
Oh, well, I mean, like,
He really sounded like Yoda when he did it.
yeah, I bet.
He did, he
Yeah.
did.
I
When you
referred
say
to Sam McEwen as
It's
Tim,
Tim.
apparently.
That's great.
I invented a
I'm
new
sorry.
segment.
New segment, yeah.
I'm laughing at this because these are things that I would do. These are things that, frankly, I have done before.
It was. I don't know what it was about today. Today was more of a struggle.
There was one time. So when we did the morning show, we had two different gambling guys.
Mhm.
We had Lee Sterling,
Yeah.
and we had Brian
Edwards.
Edwards.
Yep.
And one time we had Brian on, and I felt so bad because I accidentally called Brian Lee.
Oh no!
And it was just, I know, dude. It was so tough. It's like, like you.
Do they have a
call
gambling beef against
Like
each other?
I don't think
Brian
they have a
doesn't
gambling
care.
beef, but like
That dude
I
doesn't care about
I
anything.
think the only like comparison is
Florida.
if like you call your wife your mistress's
There's a
name.
lot about.
Florida, yeah.
It's a lot about. There was a lot
So
about
the Atlanta Hawks, maybe.
He
That's
was,
another team.
he was celebrating the other day the win by Texas over Nebraska in 96 because it pushed Florida in the championship
Right.
game. And I said that was one of the worst things that ever happened to the Saints because Mike Ditka, one of the worst coaches in the history of the NFL, decided because Danny Werfel won a national championship that he should draft him in the second round, a guy who could not play NFL football.
Mike Ditka, definitely overrated.
Did some really stupid stuff in his
Definitely
career.
overrated.
Should we talk about the Ricky Williams trade?
No, I think that goes without saying, and I don't really want Michael
That was
to
a
freak out
bad-
right now.
that was a really bad Saturday for me. We went out that Friday night.
And you're a draft guy too, so you understood
I was
immediately.
really
You
a
understood
draft guy back then.
immediately the implications of, because I could see maybe how casual fans are like, okay,
He's a good player.
he's a great player,
What's
like,
your
had a-
relationship
whatever.
with Ricky Williams?
I had a seventh round draft, mock draft. At
And
that
you had
time, in
6 Hall of
96.
Famers drafted.
And I had all of them. And no, so my relationship with Ricky Williams is I will always be thankful that they worked the trade out with Miami to where he had a great year until they got a first round pick back instead of a second or a third round
There you
pick.
go.
And so I was fine. They ended up getting Deuce McAllister. Deuce McAllister partnered with Reggie Bush.
Sure, yeah.
Ended up developing into a pretty good team, got to the playoffs. So I admired that of him. I always felt bad because he had some really bad social anxiety issues, which I understand a little bit.
He's a fascinating person.
He is. He's a really fascinating person.
The run
But
Ricky
the draft
run, where
was-
you talked about 30 for 30s.
Yeah, it was one of the worst. That day, I went out that Friday night. We went to City Lights. We were, I used to drink back then. Woke up in time for the draft, which was noon. All the rumors were going on. They were going to trade it, and it happened. And I just sat there the rest of the day with a hangover, just mad. Just the next 2 days.
Do you
just
want
sitting there.
do you want me to be naive here? Maybe kind of rude.
About what?
1995, rumors are going around. How did the
It wasn't
rumors?
95 for this. It
No.
was 90.
Yeah, it was 99, right?
Yeah.
Okay, but I mean, like,
99 or 98?
I don't know. I've been blocking.
Or,
that
no,
out of my brain.
98 is a Manning draft, right?
Yeah,
So it'd be
90
99.
He was 97, didn't win. and
yeah,
98.
98.
So here's how it was around. ESPN was on the whole time.
okay, so ESPN was reporting.
talking
All right,
about it
all right.
and all of that, and on the radio. So I was in Houston.
I
at the
thought you
time.
were getting like calls from people.
No,
being like,
in
you know.
Houston. they
Rumors
actually-
were a thing before the
No,
internet.
I know,
Well, not
but
even-
I
not
was just
before the
asking
internet,
more
but-
so. I'm once again naive Matt McMaster,
Yeah.
24
Do you know
years
who
old.
Joel Bushbaum is?
No, I don't.
So Joel Bushbaum is the original Mel Kiper,
Okay,
and Joel Bushbaum was based out of Houston.
yeah.
And so
Didn't know
because
that.
of that, Houston was kind of a draft hub long before
Oh.
anywhere else was.
Good to know.
And because of that, all the draft they would host draft parties at the Astrodome before they were draft parties.
Wow.
Yeah, because it was just people like the draft.
So
and follow the draft.
would you like try and get like a Houston newspaper or something like that? in
I got
order-
both newspapers at the time.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I had
it's
so many VH copies of games
This
that
is
I
interesting.
taped that I would go back and I'd watch to put together my
insane.
draft report. Oh yeah, man.
I just because I live in a world, I've only ever really lived in a world in Twitter where it's just like if rumors going around, you see them on Twitter. So I always find it interesting though to hear from people like what was the other way they like found
message
information.
box started around that time too.
Well, a lot
of message boxes.
It always fascinates me the stories of people having to call a number to hear all the scores, or to
1-800-555-TEL.
You know how I found out that Tupac had died?
No.
How?
What do you think? What do you think? I was working in news.
Someone paged
How'd I find out?
A wire.
The
service.
wire. The wire. Beep, beep, beep was the emergency wire. And I walked over, they ripped it off, and it said he had died.
Oh my God.
That's how long ago that was. That was in Monroe at the time.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's old. AP and UPI, baby.
I thought when you said the wire, you were going to talk about Morse code for a second.
No.
Putting dash, dash,
Yeah.
dash.
Or talking about
T,
the city of Baltimore.
dash, dot,
Exactly,
dot,
yeah.
dash, U,
Yeah.
dash, dash.
No,
D.
none of
Oh
that.
my God, where is this going?
No,
Add,
no Morse code.
add the wire to your
To the
clip
wire,
notes.
to the one and to the wall.
You would love the UPI AP battles on who would beat each other. Before they merged, they were separate wire services.
Oh, okay.
And you'd pay the wire service to sing you the
And
news.
there was like a real.
It was a real battle between the two of them.
There was real Larry versus Magic. AP
Oh
versus
yeah,
UPI.
exactly. Yep. Larry
Raw
Magic
versus
kind of feel.
Nitro.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's even better. That's even better. Yes, because there was real hate about it.
Real
And
Tyson
they weren't
Holyfield.
separated from Boston to LA. They were in the same city.
Oh.
And they hate each other.
Same city. So this, it sounds a little bit more like Philly versus Pittsburgh hockey. Flyers, Penguins.
It's been a long time since the Flyers were good, bro.
Right.
It's been a long time.
What are you talking
A
about?
lot of
Flyers-
times the Flyers were good.
Flyers
I don't
pretty
know what
good.
they do now, but I know there was about 20 years where Pittsburgh was winning a title every
Yeah.
year, and Philly wasn't winning anything.
Talk about a franchise that has been blessed with like so many like Hall of Fame.
Oh, yeah.
Greatest of all time.
Mhm.
Unlike the
We're
Green
not
Bay
talking
Packers.
about the Flyers. Right now.
Unlike the Green Bay Packers, they've actually been able to cash in on them having the greatest
Mm.
players of all time on their team. It's a wild concept. Can you imagine?
The whole time with that one Super Bowl that you won, you talk so much mess.
Am I not allowed to talk at all?
You can talk all you want,
I
but
mean, I
you're
didn't play
ripping
for
a
the
team that's
Bears.
better than your team.
I don't care.
I
You
ripped the
never-
Atlanta Falcons.
Look, I
You
support
never
any-
Atlanta Falcons
any-
are
You
worse than
only
the
wait.
Saints.
So you can
Any
wait,
Packers.
real quick. Your team has only won one Super Bowl as well, so
More-
you can't.
one more than the Atlanta Falcons.
Okay, so you
That's
could
who
rip,
I rip.
So you could rip. You can't
That's
rip.
who I rip.
You were just ripping the Pittsburgh Steelers
Michael
on my
Severe
show
for punching
2
down.
weeks ago.
I was not ripping them. I was
Yes,
saying
you
they're not
were.
as good as you think they are.
I
think they're going to regress.
To me, they're irrelevant because they're not going to win a Super Bowl, and I don't
I
find.
think
and I
you,
don't think they're
you
going to win
talked
a
about their
playoff
offensive
game.
line being good. They've
They've
to
invested
bench.
in the offensive
They had to
line.
bench the two guys they drafted the year before because they weren't
They've
good enough to
I
play.
said
Their
they
running game was
invested.
28th last year. It's going to
said-
be worse.
I said they invested in the offense.
No, they invested poorly.
I did not. Well,
Like
they had
Enron.
another first round draft pick before the Eagles seed them for Mekhi Lemon. Which, by the way, the Lemon it wouldn't make sense for me to. Why would they go and draft Lemon in the first place? They got Pittman and Metcalf, and then they ended up getting Jeremy Bernard, which I actually thought was a really good draft.
Well, Lemon is your slot guy.
I thought
And
they.
you
I
win
thought
from the slot now.
I thought they got great value in. I really like the Arizona State tackle that they got, and I think they got great value out of Bernard. I think they got killed. I mean, they got embarrassed by Philly, but I think it actually worked out for them in the end.
Philly embarrasses everybody. Howie is a machine. Howie right now has 5 teams now involved in this battle for who's going to get Brown.
I cannot believe that just because
It
it
went
seemed
from
like it
1
was
to
a done,
5.
dude. It was a done deal.
Now everybody's in it. Even the Chargers are in it now, and they don't do anything.
Is it Diana Rossini can't steer him there? Is that the problem?
She can't open up the trade market for the Tennessee Titans.
She's not able to rumor monger.
He doesn't want to talk about this. He does not like.
I'm
he
leaving in
can't
about
stand-
13 minutes. There's
he
nothing
cannot
that there's
stand
nothing
this
that makes me
conversation.
turn the station quicker
He
than that
hates-
conversation.
He hates the
Nothing
Vrabel Rossini
Makes
talk.
me turn the
That's
station
fine.
quicker.
Can I ask why?
I just don't care.
Okay.
I will say that
That's fine. That's
I
fine.
will say I like her because
I did too.
whenever she covered the Saints, she did a great job.
I thought she was
loved her.
a-
I loved her podcast,
I love
but
her
more
report.
than that, I just don't care.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just
Michael
don't.
very much. Michael's out policing the bedroom, which I respect.
I don't do what you want. I listen. If the guy who leads this country
yeah.
does what he does,
Yeah.
compared to that, whatever. So yeah, I'm not in that. Not into that. Not into that conversation. But I will say that the Steelers, over the course of their draft lives, this is going all the way back to the 70s, will sit there and wait and take the best player. They've taken more Hall of Famers just sitting and waiting than any team I remember.
I think it was.
covering the draft.
I think it was Howie who said if I fill all my needs on draft day, that I didn't have a good draft because basically he explains you're not drafting to the board. So his philosophy is like if I'm going out and I'm selecting a tight end just to select a tight end, or I'm selecting a D line just to select a D line,
right.
I'm way better off just picking to what my board is, to what I have on my board compared to filling a positional.
That's
need.
great, but he'll always be the guy who drafted the wrong wide receiver.
Yeah,
thankfully,
twice.
Yeah,
thankfully.
Twice.
But then he was like, "Screw it! I'm clearly not good at drafting this one position. Let me trade for him."
I'll be fine.
Then he ended up drafting the right guy.
What I meant by the Steelers is that they pick 20, right?
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, they just stay at 20, and the player they needed the most usually falls to them.
Yeah.
And they select them. The couple times they did trade up. Didn't work out. The linebacker, the middle linebacker, they traded up for him. That did obviously was the Michigan guy. They traded up for him. That didn't work out. But when they just stay there and they wait, usually they get lucky.
Who's the Michigan? Who's that guy?
Who's the linebacker?
Out of Michigan.
They loved
recently.
He was off-ball linebacker.
Gary. No.
Rashawn Gary.
No. He was a Packer. I know who you're talking. Wasn't it a Devin?
Devin Bush.
Devin Bush.
They moved him to get Devin Bush, like all the way to I think 10.
Yeah,
which is way ahead where I had him.
Wasn't that
I think it was something really high.
That was the year where the Broncos were picking 9, right? And wasn't that I think that was the Dwayne Haskins draft, the Devin Bush.
Was it that long ago?
I think it was.
It may be. I don't remember.
I think it was because Gary.
That would have been
certain teams I follow.
2019.
Teams I follow are like Pittsburgh because of Damon and what they're doing draft. I follow Eagles a lot. My friends, I follow their drafts. But I don't Giants. I follow the Giants draft. But I don't remember. I just know they've traded up, and I was like, oh, my God, the Steelers are trading up.
It was the 2019 draft.
Yeah, you were right.
Yeah,
Dwayne Haskins.
Yeah. So, okay, I have a subject for you, and you can comment on this.
And you
too.
guy over there, too.
No, but
just point at me if you want me to talk.
Okay, cool.
Just point at me when you want. I'll point at you when I want you to talk.
So I go to Hy-Vee. Right? I love Hy-Vee. Smile in every aisle. Okay. And when you pass the deli in fifth section, there's this little, they have those little like kind of tub freezers, right? Mm-hmm. And in one of those tub, now they don't have them anymore, but they used to. Used to be like a panned tray, okay? And it had crab legs and it had sausage and it had
the boil mix.
It had the boil mix, right?
Yeah.
I took a picture one time and I was and because I know you know this stuff. Is that good? Is that something that you would buy, that you would make a boil out of that?
No, I'd buy everything separately.
You would?
Because they charge you 20% to put stuff together.
Yeah.
They cut
it's
your
like
vegetables.
when they cut up your vegetables for you and then sew it
You
back
ever done a boil?
I've not done one myself. I've gone to people that have hosted
I've never even the only boil I've ever
My wife
eaten
doesn't
was
like
with
seafood,
you.
so it's never really going to be an option.
Here's the great thing you can buy. There's a time during the year where Bakers, no offense to Hy-Vee, Bakers
I like Bakers too.
will have the giant box of snow crab for like $39.99. It's regular 70s. They'll buy it, they'll put it there, they'll have it marked down. Buy 3 or 4 of them and just throw them in your freezer.
What? Have you been to the casino that does the snow?
My wife goes there.
Snow crab.
It's Ameristar.
Ameristar.
It's Ameristar.
We should hit that up.
Ameristar.
Okay. How much is it?
It's like $49.99.
I mean,
something like that.
I can't
my wife has told a story.
Oh, come on.
I have to feed a child.
I mean, one Friday.
First of all, gas to get from where I live to the casino.
That would be a fortune. Yeah. My wife tells a story about
Dude,
her.
I'm filling up a gallon at a time right now. No joke.
First of all, do you use your gas points? You like Hy-Vee? Are you working around the gas points?
So listen.
No,
the
answer is no.
No, but real quick, let me explain. Because in Hy-Vee, you get 20 cents like once. You get like
no, I know. Yep.
So it's like I have 20 cents right now.
Okay.
I don't want to waste it when gas is $5.20 a gallon.
Okay.
I'm hoping it can go down.
You
to
get 20 gallons, not 20 cents. You get 20 gallons.
I think I only get 20 cents.
No.
Let me show you right now.
You get as many cents as you want. You get 20 gallons. That's the way it works. Because I fill up my wife's. She gets 21 gallons in her car. And so I can fill up to that point. But it's not 20. I've had $1 before from them, more than that.
I have Fuel Saver 20 cents a gallon right now.
Yeah, and that you can get more. So when you shop, you should only shop on the Thursday, Friday, Saturdays when they have the special where if you spend 40, you get 40 cents.
Okay.
If you do that, now I go to Baker's every Friday. because they have 4 times points.
This is good. I don't know any of this. This
This
is
is
great to know.
What my mother-in-law does, and then we just use that because she doesn't drive as much. So
perfect. So
that's
I get
basically where our cheat code is, to just use the points that she
every
banks on.
week I get about 80 cents.
Yeah.
Unless we're having a party or something, I got to buy more. So I have
I didn't
80
know
cents,
this.
and it just
Yeah,
goes. One
yeah.
car gets the 80 cents, the other car gets the 80 cents.
So
That's how we
so
do it.
I'm literally, and I'm not joking. Like I only drive here, like from my house to here, which today took 6 minutes to get here.
Mhm.
Okay. And then every once in a while, like I'll go out West Kelly Field or I'll go
What
to
do you mean every
Tiburon.
once in a while? You go to Shields twice a week.
But I knock it out all at once. Like when I go past
No, I'm just saying, you're still driving.
when I go past 72nd, I'm only going past 72nd once the entire week. Like that's where I'm at right now. Like once I go past, I'm going to Tiburon, I'm going to Shields, I'm going to Kel. I'm doing it all. Right now, though, because I got plantar fasciitis, I'm not going out west right now because I'm not doing any of that stuff.
Did you get
So-
diagnosed?
They've been using the
no.
band,
Self-diagnosed.
the band therapy.
Self-diagnosed.
Band therapy. You
No,
band
I
therapy?
haven't, but I've been rolling out my foot and I've been doing the
Do
gel.
it in the shower.
Okay.
Hot water on it as you do it.
Good to know. I'm literally filling up 1 gallon at a time. It's $5.22 because I got to pay premium, so it's $5.22.
Oh my!
Yeah.
Listen, I'm sure your car is something you really love. I'm not buying
I
for
have
anybody.
To.
I don't believe
no,
that.
No. I have.
You also don't have to turn it on airport lane made when you're flying.
I
either.
have a diagnosed engine problem, Michael, and I've been to listen to me, and I've been to the mechanics,
Yeah.
and they were like, "Look, kid, like this thing has 90,000 miles on it.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
You need to start putting premium on it
Right.
because it's a premium car."
Yeah.
And I started putting premium in it,
Yeah.
and it's been running
Okay.
way better than when I was putting the other
Yeah,
stuff
that's
in
it.
it.
Both my kids have Acuras. They're older Acuras, and they're not putting premium in.
No, I know,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
this is I'm driving German engineering here, at
you know what I'm
110,000
saying?
miles.
Yeah. In
you
terms
know?
of premium cars, it's
Well,
expensive.
yeah, I mean,
He's got a little bit of money.
no, my
He
parents.
parks off to the side. Doesn't want anyone near him in the parking
Well,
lot.
yeah, I
in case he
should
can
because
get-
everybody keeps sideswiping my ass. This place,
Somebody
man,
hit you
3 people.
Well,
3 people
while
have hit
parking.
me. 2 while
Like they were
parking,
turning?
1 while being a
I,
jackass.
as someone who parks near you every single day, I would like to remind you that you are on the line today.
Yeah, it's tennis.
Ooh, Damon Betting School of Parking.
It's tennis.
He'd bring the picture in.
It's
if he was
tennis.
still here, he'd bring
It's
the picture
tennis.
in.
On the line is in.
No.
Yes, it is.
There's no
No way.
place
Not
on
in
the
parking.
planet where that's true.
If I'm in,
If you're on the line,
on the line's
you
in.
are now no longer in the full spot.
On the line is in.
It's not.
On the line
If
is
you're
in.
on the line, you're moving everyone else around
Exactly.
you over and off.
You're
yeah.
harming everyone else.
Get out of here. On the line
I'm
is
not
in.
getting out of
I
anywhere.
have not
I am
been
leaving in
hit
5
so
minutes.
far.
but-
Is that a rite of passage for the new person here?
What'd you do? I'm sorry, I missed.
I said I haven't. My car hasn't been hit since I've been
Well,
here.
that's
Is
good.
that a
It
rite
shouldn't
of
be.
passage
Yeah.
of a?
I was sideswiped at the College World Series. I was
on the Citadel right there. I don't know if you can see it. It should be the maroon car looking right at you.
I see it. You are in the line.
Yeah.
Good work, kid.
It's pretty easy. You get
Good
here,
work,
there's
kid.
nobody here. You just go right between the
Go
lines.
between them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't be on them. Yeah. I don't think there's a. I think you could do a poll. You know, you don't get 100% on a poll. I think if you put that as a poll question, you get 100%.
Well, if Matt
no.
votes, you wouldn't.
no, on the line is in.
Who?
It's tennis.
If Matt voted, you wouldn't get.
Oh yeah,
100%.
Matt would vote against it, right?
And there's people that think like Matt.
no.
No,
Get
they
out of
exist.
here. There are people who think like me.
I had the greatest
Dozens
experience.
of them.
I
Does-
mentioned-
yes,
I went to
that's
this-
all I need.
I
That's
went to
all I
this-
need. Hey, did I point at you? I haven't pointed at you.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'll stop talking.
Thank you.
Here's what's great. So I go to that 80-year-old birthday party, and it was one of the best experiences I've had in a long time. I talked to these people who've been around for a long time and learned all this stuff, and I got some ideas for stories for KETV, everything. So anyway, I'm talking to them, and my favorite part of that night was me defending McMaster to so many people. I spent about an hour
No way.
total out of 3 hours of being there defending
To
who? Everybody.
All the 80-year-olds?
Mm.
Now, just not just 80-year-olds. They
Great.
were male, females, young, old,
Great.
in the medium.
There aren't many
I-
things that unite the people.
I
Except
appreciate
for
it.
McMaster.
There is
That makes
Matt
me feel
And
so,
so
good.
one group, right? Obviously, are never going to like you because you're too young.
Yeah.
Another group of people hate your voice.
Cool.
And
Thanks,
then,
man.
And then
I love hearing
I
this,
defended
Michael.
you. This is good for you.
Yeah,
Here's
great.
the thing. I told him. I said he doesn't care.
I don't.
I said he doesn't care. He's got that. He got the attitude. He's going to do what he's going to do. And I said, in the end, he's going to be the most successful out of any of these people nationally doing what he does. I said he's going to be the most successful. Why is my wife calling me? Anyway, I said he will be. I said you don't like him because you're old, and or
This is true.
you don't like him because he's from Chicago, and or
That's
you
another
don't like
thing.
him because of this. I said, it doesn't matter. I went through this. I was this guy. I came here as an outsider. I know originally what people say about you. It takes about a year and a half, maybe 2. And then all of a sudden, you don't hear any of that anymore.
You don't even have to be an outsider necessarily. You just have to end up in
experiences.
Right. You do have that.
Yeah.
Sorry.
There you go. You could go.
I apologize. But Josh Peterson has gone through this too, as well.
Yeah.
Well,
No,
Josh wants it.
I mean,
Well,
Josh
when he
pursues
first
it.
started, no, not
Oh,
necessarily.
no, not at first. Yeah.
Now he embraces it.
He also had a little bit of an advantage because he was for 2 years. He was our producer.
Right.
And so, or even 3 years as the producer. Last year, Kevin, 2 years of John and me. So
I was just thrown into the lake.
you were just thrown in there. And you were partnered with a guy who a lot of people like.
Yeah.
And then he leaves. You get blamed for part of it.
I did.
Which is kind of funny.
Which is so funny.
I know. You get blamed for part of it. So that also is on top of that. And I explain that to people as well. So I'm like, he had nothing to do with
Well,
that move.
yeah, and it was kind of funny seeing all the Red Sea Scrolls acting as if the 22-year-old from Chicago had any sort of power over.
Who was your dad, right?
Yeah. My dad, the accountant,
Which I've
so
never met
connected in the
your dad.
broadcasting industry.
Well, actually, I have met
Have
your
you
dad.
heard this? That people,
His dad's a massive power broker.
yeah, people in the Red Sea Scrolls are convinced that my dad has some sort of connections in the broadcast business and that he's calling the shots as to what is happening in Omaha radio.
I didn't know anything about that. All right.
My dad, by the way, people are like, yeah, his dad has some real ties or whatever. I'm like, God, I wish my dad was Chris Collinsworth in terms of being able to push buttons.
Matt McMaster sent out tapes and called and emailed hundreds of station managers, people.
Really, Bobby the Brain
this.
Heenan over here.
He did all of that to get what he got.
Thank you.
Now, was he worthy of it yet? We'll judge that at the end of his career.
Okay.
But the way he got it was he worked to get it.
This is very interesting because once a week for about the last month, I received a cold email or phone call, voicemail from someone roughly Matt's age, a little younger. Do you need any help with the College World Series? Here's who I am. Here's what I do now. I'm willing to help. And I'm
That's
like,
how I worked for a newspaper in Louisiana.
Do you need any help? I have a kid.
You have, like,
not my kid, but a friend.
Oh,
this is, by the way, this is how I got into the business right here. This exact thing that happened.
He's a really talented kid.
Over there.
If you need somebody, they'd love to.
I don't know right now.
If you need somebody, I got somebody.
Okay.
And here's the thing: he'll add some color to you guys' group.
Literally,
we need that.
We do need.
We
that.
do.
It won't
need
just
that.
be Josh's tan. The other Josh.
Well, I'm Latin.
You have that picture. You might be the palest person in that
You
picture.
make Connor
which is
look
kind of
dark.
funny.
Isn't
yeah.
it insane?
Yeah, it was funny.
It
was Schaefer and Peterson.
I went to a Mexican place. By the way, I'll tell you off the air. Super overrated Mexican place. We'll never go there again. No. I'll tell you, and I'm mad about it.
I
in the
imagine he
market?
agrees.
It's actually really close to where I live. It's right there where I live.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
So, I was so pissed with everything that went on.
I would say stay away from Taco Bell.
No, actually, I'm gonna be real. This might be the only place where it's like, if you gave me this local place or Taco Bell, I would take Taco Bell
I understand that.
all
I
day.
understand that.
So I go to this place, and the guy there, he goes, green sauce or red sauce?
Sauce?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's, rojo or verde.
Salsa.
But I go green sauce, and he looks at me dead in the eye and he goes, that's the hot one. Ah! And
I've been to a place like that
I've
before. And I'm
seen
like,
that before.
And I
I've
go,
that happens to my wife.
I go, I know.
Yeah, I know.
I'm aware.
It's funny because in New Mexico, the red one's the hot one.
I almost wanted to be a jackass and say, "Tú hablas español?"
Yeah, so speaking to him,
I kind of started to want to speak to him to be like, "Hey,
he just didn't trust you,
a-hole.
Yeah.
I know which ones. I know what I'm
remember
ordering."
this. It's not just that group. I remember being someplace with Sarah Baker Hansen that was an Asian place, and they questioned the number she picked.
Really?
This woman lived in China.
Yeah. That's crazy,
right?
Yeah.
Somewhere around there, and she's like, "Yeah, I know. I can deal with it."
See, when I go to Korean barbecue, I let them order for me. I go, I'm gonna get the galbi. I'm gonna get the short rib. But other than that,
I like to make my tray. I want to make my tray.
I let them go.
I
let them
go
go
crazy.
crazy.
Make my tray. Order free.
Dude, that's how I play it too. When we went the first ever crab boil, or we did the crab crawfish.
Oh
boil
yeah.
Where I let it was like a build your own. I just let Michael pick. I was just like, you go, you do.
That was talking about disappointing.
Well, they didn't do what you had a simple fix, isn't it?
All
simple
you have
fix?
to do is season the water.
And they would be great.
You
Everything
can't
else is
boil
pretty
it
good.
without seasoning, and you just say, I'm going to put stuff over the top of it. You have to put seasoning in the water. That way it boils inside of the crawfish, the crab, the shrimp. Then if you want to put some seasoning on top of it afterwards, fine, to make it look good. Nick Grimm waving. But that was the problem. They didn't. And I told them, I said, you need to season your water. You got a problem.
You did say it right to her face.
You got to season
He
your
also
water.
one time I saw him in the parking lot of Hy-Vee, and and a lady was going in the direction, and Michael looked at her and goes, "You're going the wrong way."
It's just one of my favorite lines from the movie.
And the lady rolled her window down, and she goes, "Am I going the wrong way?" And right in front of her is the arrow that is telling her she is going the right way. And I'm like,
just playing.
and I pulled the Star Wars and go, "Move along, move along."
I'm just playing.
Have you ever had that where you're in the parking lot and someone's going the wrong way, you're going the right way?
Oh,
and
yeah,
they're
all the
like they
time.
look at you like, what are we supposed to do here? I just sit in my car and it's like you're the one that's
Look at
going to
the
have
cars.
to. Like,
I
Look
am
at the
this is
direction
you.
of the cars.
I am
Yeah.
the most non-confrontal driver in terms of if we're going on
Oh,
a
I
skinny,
am confronting.
if we're going no. I'm saying if we're going on a skinny, like there's a two-way, it's a two-way street, but it's real skinny, like it's real residential. I'm pulling off to the right.
Yeah,
right
no,
away.
that's just general
and I pull
politeness.
off to the right, and I go, you come through.
You know the law, the rule, right? The
What
rule is
I don't know the rule.
whatever side the cars are on. If you're on that side,
Yeah.
you get over.
Oh.
The person that doesn't have the cars on their side, they have the
right away?
That's
I
actually on
didn't
the
know that.
test. Yeah.
Typically, though, when you're in that situation, at least for me, it's like cars are on both sides sometimes.
Yeah, but
It
if you
just
have that, that's
it just
it's
gets-
all.
well,
You
that's-
figure out who's got there first. It's
that's-
usually the person who arrives first at a stop sign or whatever else.
That's Chicago driving
Yeah.
right there, where it's just like
You go, I go. You go, I go.
or it's just like whoever's got room, whoever can just pull into a little driveway for 2
Yeah.
seconds, and the other guy or person
Yeah.
goes around them. That's
Hey,
how it
finish
works
that
out.
movie quote. You're going the wrong way.
I got nothing.
He's like, how do they know where we're going? Planes, trains, and automobile?
Oh,
Oh.
yeah.
That's an odd.
Too
They're
deep
yelling
of a
at them.
cut
They're
for
like,
me.
hey, you're on the
I've
wrong
also
way.
I've only seen that once, and it was within the last couple of years.
I've never seen it before.
I watch it every
I
Thanksgiving.
missed that movie.
Oh,
like,
my dad tried getting me to
I
watch
watch
it
it
for
every Thanksgiving.
My
Yeah,
dad
I do
watches
too.
it for
Oh yeah,
Thanksgiving.
check the scene at the car rental place is top 5 movie history. I think.
I didn't know that was coming, and it's a relatively pleasant movie. Before,
Yes,
like,
yes,
and
yes.
then Steve Martin, who I don't know that I've
Yeah.
really ever heard
Curse.
rip off a bunch of swears before.
It's so good. He nailed it on the first try. The first
pretty
try. Have
I-
you not seen Pantry?
No. But I've been doing a good job of. I saw the
He's
Sixth
working
Sense.
his way through some things.
I
it wasn't on
saw-
the list of Josh.
I
Keaton.
saw Reservoir Dogs.
Good one.
I enjoyed it.
Good.
He didn't
great
like it as
soundtrack.
much.
I
I was a
didn't
little
love it.
disappointed.
I didn't love
Great
it,
soundtrack.
but I really liked it.
Yeah.
I really liked it. I have to ask you,
Mr. Pink.
at the end of the movie. At the end of the movie.
He's very stuck on this.
He is.
At the end of the movie, does Mr. White kill the young Mr. Who's the young?
I think everybody dies.
okay.
They're just bullets fly in, and I think everybody.
Yeah.
Okay. Because it's like, it doesn't make it clear, though, at the very end. Like, the 2 shots could be coming to the police officers at Mr. White, or the 2 shots could be going to Mr. Pink, who Mr. White is currently holding with a gun to his head.
Did you spend as
That's
much
how-
time on the top spinning and interception?
That's the
as you
exact thing I was
I
thinking.
think
Um,
all the bad guys die.
You think all of them die?
had?
all the bad
But
guys
you,
die.
and even the undercover cop, you think the undercover cop dies?
Yes.
I can't believe he was
By the way,
alive
the
that
Mr.
long.
Pink speech about tipping.
Yeah.
Another incredible speech.
If I'm
So,
standing, I don't tip.
How I know that my life has gone in a certain way is when I first heard that speech, I was like, that's a little over the top. I identify
with it
that
now.
speech now. I like believe in that speech.
Yeah.
now.
Yep.
Like, I
It's a
feel
great
that in the
speech.
core of my
Yeah.
being.
Yeah.
now.
I don't support it.
No,
because
I don't either.
Because I overtip, but I understand.
Yeah, well, it's
I
more
understand.
just to like and I don't want
Yeah.
to go in my own Mr. Pink speech
Please,
here, but it's just
it'd be great for the
like,
station.
no, nobody wants that. But
Being awesome.
the
we need
amount
more
of things where it's
promos.
like, oh, am I supposed to tip for this now? Like, literally, no one's doing anything other than turning a screen around. In front of my face.
exactly. Yeah, I know.
But
Okay.
it says tip here.
I'm very.
and then they put the note. All the tips go to the employees,
Yeah.
and you're like, oh.
And then at stadiums now,
Stadiums
they
is
And I have,
they
like, a
flip
whole
it over and they
threshold.
go. And remember, we're volunteers.
okay.
I
That's
do
on
not
you.
tip it.
I-
You volunteered to be
I
here.
do not tip it.
I always feel bad. And it's for a good cause. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But I always feel bad when they go, would you like to round up for the, Boys and Girls Clubs of America?
Right.
Would you like to round up for the Food Bank of Omaha?
Hy-Vee.
Would you like to? And I just
round to the nearest dollar.
I feel so conflicted because I'm like, no.
I don't do that. They're using that for a tax write-off for themselves, not to be good people.
I don't know about that. I don't know if that's true or not. I do know that I tried to reach out to Hy-Vee to see to see if they would do a roundup for the Jet Award Foundation.
Oh, I would round up
for that. They said no. So.
Oh, screw those guys.
They only do food insecurity.
I'm a baker's man now.
Yeah.
Thank you, Bobby, for the brain, Heenan. I appreciate your promo today. That was very great.
Very much.
One of the more backhanded, probably the most backhanded compliment of
my
entire life.
I always compliment you.
Everyone does. He only focuses on the negative.
No, I don't care.
Yeah.
That's what Michael said.
I tell him you don't care. I tell him you don't care.
That's what he tells him. So we got to keep that true.
Him. He's going to do what he does, and there's nothing you can do, and he'll be fine.
I appreciate you, Mike Schaefer.
Thank you.
Thank you for staying.
Thanks, Schiff.
Middays Mac coming up next here on the 1620 Zone Radio Network.
I need your help. I can't tell you what it is. You can never ask me about it later, and we're gonna hurt some people.
Whose car are we gonna take?
I have a lot of things I want to get off my chest.
That's an absolutely horse crap call. Make room for Daddy. But they are who we thought they were, and we let them off the hook.
Chicago is.
This is Middays with Matt on 1620 The Zone.
Middays Matt live and rolling here on the 1620 The Zone Radio Network. Matt McMaster is always joined by Josh Odson on this little, God dang it, Severe. You went ahead and he closed the blinds. I didn't even notice that. I don't like it when the blinds are closed. I like to be able to look out the Dodge, see all the drivers who are.
Yeah, everyone that sits there closes it, and I get why Josh does because the sun's coming in there in the afternoon.
Yeah,
it's probably harsh on the eyes.
It definitely is for him. But at the same time, it's like, I like to see all of the drivers of Omaha, coming down Dodge Street.
Remember to honk if you drive by.
It took me 11 minutes to get to work yesterday. I hit every red light possible on my way to work. I hit the 2 red lights before you turn on to Dodge. I hit the 6 red lights before I got to Dodge. There was a massive line because Dundee Double Shot was absolutely packed to the gills, so it was holding everybody up. So it took me a good minute just to turn on to the street we need to turn on to.
Why didn't you stop at Dundee Double Shot?
I've been drinking Monsters the last 2 days.
Okay. Well,
it's a Monster week.
Okay. Go. I mean, you can get a pastry or a bagel or something. They do more than just coffee at Dundee Double Shot.
I do a bagel every so often, but I've done a lot of their bagels. I've eaten every bagel at Dundee Double Shot. I've eaten the everything bagel. I've eaten the plain bagel. I've eaten their blueberry bagel. I've eaten their cheese bagel. I'm bageled out, if you will. I'm kind of getting tuna salad out too.
Okay.
I've been having a lot of tuna salad recently, just because the Matthew McConaughey tuna salad recipe that's gone really viral. It's actually pretty cheap to make.
I do not.
Oh, it's pretty great. You should look it up.
What is? I don't mean to.
Tuna salad.
Who am I kidding? Yes, I do mean to deviate.
Go ahead.
Matthew McConaughey has a tuna recipe?
He has a great tuna recipe. So you do 2 cans of tuna, mayo, mixed with wasabi. You then put vinegar and lemon. Then you do a little salt and pepper. Then you put in pickles, peas, corn, frozen peas, corn, red onion, a little bit of honey, and then you mix all that up, and it makes a pretty good tuna salad.
Okay, that does sound interesting.
And it's pretty, once you get all of the things that are more expensive, the repeatability process of making this is very easy. You just really need to buy a red onion and an apple, and you're good to go. And you have everything else once you initially buy everything that you need, plus the 2 cans of tuna. We've been doing it for quite a while now in the Dan plus Matt household at this point, and I'm having a little bit too much tuna. Do you ever watch that? Too Much Tuna with Nick Kroll and John Mulaney?
No, but I like both of those people.
It was they did a play called one second. Nick Kroll and John Mulaney. I forgot what it's called. I loved it.
While you look that up, I do want to correct the record. This just in from Mike Schaefer, quote, "I don't close the blinds."
Kind of sure.
Thank you, Mike, for being a rational human being.
It was okay. So John Mulaney and Nick Kroll did a thing called "Oh Hello." Okay. And it was a live play, and it was basically about 2 old men who live in a New York City apartment. And it was just, they would make a bunch of like New York jokes, and it was very funny, and they were very old man, and it was hysterical. But they always did this thing called Too Much Tuna, where they would bring up a star that was in the audience that night, and they would have a sandwich that had way too much tuna on it, and they would make a bunch of inappropriate jokes. To the star, and then the bit would not end until the star said, "That's too much tuna," and then they would say it's too much tuna, and then Nick Kroll and John Mulaney would be like, "Oh, we got you," and then it would end. I'm having too much tuna right now. I'm kind of tuna out.
Okay.
So I have to find more things to eat. I don't know how we got there. I'm glad we did though. Canned tuna, underrated. Spam, never had it before. Been very tempted to have spam.
I'd like to go to one of those restaurants where they cook it.
They do fancy spam.
Yeah.
Here's my thing. Spam is $6. It's $6 to get that canned ham.
It's imported.
That's ridiculous. Why would I ever buy canned ham for $6? I can get a bunch of chicken drumsticks at Hy-Vee for way cheaper than $6 as opposed to the spam. I'm not, by the way, shaming anybody who eats spam. If you eat spam, that's your prerogative, or your pierogi, maybe even. But it's just that's a lot. That's a lot. Okay. Anyway, a lot's been going on in sports. S is hitting the fan all of a sudden on a Tuesday. Will Wade is trying to ruin college basketball. The Big Ten is sick and tired of everybody else is what is coming out of this meeting. We had some very, very interesting quotes come from Tony Petitti, come from Ross Bjork, who is the athletic director of the Ohio State University. We got an interesting quote from Dan Lanning. So we will talk about all that today. Some people are really, really PO'd at the Big Ten. Some people are very, very PO'd at Will Wade. We will dive into all of that throughout the show. We also
tell me how to feel.
I won't tell you how to feel. I'm just going to tell you everything that's going on.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll make my own conclusion.
Well, that is the point of the show. I just want to provide the information and be a little entertaining, and then you walk away.
I've been wrapped up in state baseball this week. I don't know what's happening in the world.
How is state baseball going?
I called a protested game last night.
Did they do the thing where they do the backwards P?
No, they didn't.
No, they didn't walk up and he didn't go like that.
No, but that would have been fun.
I mean, that's what you have to do, right? When it's a game that's protested. I'm protesting watching. I'm protesting watching the Cubs game tonight. I am so pissed. I've watched the last two Cubs games.
Is it not going well for the?
No, they're getting their asses kicked by the Milwaukee Brewers. And Jacob Mizorowski absolutely shredded them yesterday.
That guy throws 103.
And then I was getting really annoyed because I love Boog and I love Jim DeShays. And then I also was listening to Ron and Pat Hughes.
Whoa, 4-game losing streak.
They were all like, oh my God, Ben Brown is getting out of so many jams. Cubs have gotten out of so many jams. And I'm like, that's not a good thing.
Yeah,
Stop.
You don't want to get into jams.
Stop getting into them. Thank you.
Yeah.
Dude, watching Ben Brown pitch is one of the most frustrating experiences of my life. He will go ahead and he'll throw a wild pitch and he'll walk Garrett Mitchell. And then all of a sudden, a couple of batters later, he's striking out Christian Yelich and grounding, having Wilson Contreras roll over on the ball. But for whatever reason, Bryce Terang is absolutely tattooing him all over the ballpark. The Brewers are good again. And it's very, 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 very upsetting because I can't stand them. And they are really good and they're killing the Cubs. But anyway, a lot of crazy stuff going on in college basketball and in college sports in general. We will talk about that throughout the show. I don't know why everybody decided to flip out on a Tuesday and why everything just hit the fan all at once, but we will detail that and we will break it down. Yesterday, it really came out 2 days ago, but yesterday was the day where the Athlon Sports Anonymous quotes really made the media cycle. But I feel like a lot of people were reading the Nebraska quotes. They were reading what people had to say about Nebraska, what people were reading about how Dylan Raiola was the last hope for Nebraska. I agree to disagree when it comes to that. They were talking about, there's not a lot of continuity in the coaching staff. They may have a point in that regard. But I don't think we we didn't dive into what coaches were saying about the teams that Nebraska are going to play. That's what we're going to talk about today. I've gone ahead and I've pulled some of the best quotes in terms of the opponents that Nebraska football will be playing. Some very interesting insights. And I also think that there is, we talk about the tiers of the Big Ten. What tier of the Big Ten are you in? It's noticeable how differently and structurally coaches talk about tier 1 of the Big Ten compared to tier 2 and tier 3. And there are some buzzwords that I think that if you are one of those teams in those tiers, you would want to hear. Or there are, maybe more accurately, there are buzzwords that group each of those teams in those tiers. And I think that very easily through these quotes, you get a lot of programs that are getting similar quotes that are in the same tiers that you can kind of put together, okay, hey, this is the model in which they use in order to be where they're currently located in terms of the hierarchy of the Big Ten. Nebraska did not get one of those buzzwords. We will talk, though, about the teams that did get those buzzwords, and some of which Nebraska will end up playing this season. We'll also talk about there was some pretty big news in regard to flag football, one of the fastest growing women's sports. Women's
Coming to the Olympics.
Just in general. Women's sports just in general, just absolutely skyrocketing here over the last couple of years, whether it be volleyball, whether it be women's basketball, whether it be softball, and now flag football made a big step yesterday to being fully declared an NCAA sport by the year of 2028. Nebraska already on the forefront in terms of getting their ducks in a row and having a flag football team. I have some questions when it comes to Nebraska women's flag football. I do. I mean, I think it's appropriate because of the news that we got yesterday that some important committees kind of improved and pushed, what needed to be pushed down the line in order for flag football to fully be acknowledged as a NCAA sport. How big is it going to be? Like how big can women's flag football end up being at Nebraska? I think it would be incredibly bullish and maybe unrealistic to say that it could ever rival the popularity of volleyball. But in the hierarchy of women's basketball to softball to volleyball to maybe track and field and like where does it fit within that? And then I just have some logistical questions as in what day would they play women's flag football games?
Oh,
like
I hadn't given that a second of thought.
What day would they play it? Because you obviously can't play it on a Saturday. The football team is playing.
What season do they play it?
So that's another great point. Are they? Well, I bet if we looked into it, we could probably find out. I'm assuming it's just going to be fall. Maybe it's spring. I actually don't know. I have no idea. But what day would they play? If it's in the spring, you can play it on Saturday at Memorial Stadium. That would be great. If it's playing in the fall, when do you play? So we'll have some of those questions. We'll talk about that. We'll do a little bit more research. And more importantly, I have a question. How popular can women's flag football get at the University of Nebraska? I think if done right, and
it is a spring sport.
Yeah, that's what I assumed.
12 games.
Play it on Saturday. Just play that sucker on a Saturday. Play it at Memorial Stadium. How many people would you think they would get a game on a Saturday in the spring at Memorial Stadium? That's a legit. I have no idea.
Playing field for flag football is 80 by 40 yards.
I've seen when Midland played flag football at the Battle of the Boneyard, or not at the Battle of the Boneyard. They did the Husker the Husker games. Remember that when they didn't want to do the spring football game that one time because they were afraid everybody was going to poach their players by watching it on the Big Ten Network. Remember that?
Right. People forget.
People do forget that. Midland University came and played their flag football team, and they were very, very impressive. And it was a very entertaining time. So we'll see. I'm just throwing it out there. How popular can it be, and how many people would go and watch that? But other things to cover: Will Wade, the Big Ten meetings, and the New York Knicks. My God. What a comeback. Or maybe more.
Bing bong!
Screw them. I can't stand them. Or more specifically, James Harden.
Oh,
woof.
Bum.
Woof. I thought we were past this, James.
Unk is wash.
I thought we had gone to better pastures. I thought we improved as a defensive player. You watched the entire New York Knicks comeback against the Cleveland Cavaliers yesterday. I am not stressing this enough. It is just a bunch of people cooking James Harden. It's just a bunch of people dribbling by James Harden. Ernie, Kenny, Shaq, and Charles felt awkward doing that highlight tape because it just got to a point where it was just every time Harden was contesting the shot or Harden was late to a rotation or Harden was just being driven right by. Kenny Atkinson definitely going to have to show off his coaching chops because you're going to have Stephen A. Smith get on the air today and say, Orange and blue skies, orange and blue skies. The series is over. This was absolutely, this absolutely took the wind out of them. There's no way that Cleveland can recover from this. I disagree with that. I think Cleveland definitely can recover and win this series. It's just going to take a really good coaching job and some motivation from Kenny Atkinson. And when I mean motivation, just his ability to remind his team, hey, guys, you kind of dominated for a good part of this game, and you've proven that mano a mano that you're a better team. We just got to make sure that this one guy, pointing at James Harden, we can hide him better on defense. Because it was a very good coaching decision for Mike Brown to put in Landry Shamet in order to stretch out Harden and make Harden defend. I mean, when they took out Josh Harden, they put out Landry Shamet. They made James Harden defend. He had to defend. It led to a New York Knicks win. Also, we have hockey tonight. Very excited. Vegas Golden Knights versus Colorado. I'll make a prediction to you right now. Vegas wins tonight at Colorado.
Whoa.
Colorado wins the series in 6, but the Golden Knights win tonight. Book that. Also book
Dog of the day.
one of the more excited game 2s of a conference finals maybe ever. Thunder versus Spurs. I mean, they're going to be, this will be an incredibly highly viewed game today between these two teams because of just the absolute instant classic that occurred between these two, and Victor Wembanyama having his signature moment in his very young career. Day baseball today that we'll have on Cincinnati versus Philadelphia and Baltimore versus Tampa. We are going to be watching which game, Mr. Josh Hodson, today?
Oh, I assumed we'd watch the Big Ten tournament.
Oh, yeah. I forgot that was going on.
Boy, if you like some mid-ass baseball.
I mean, come on. I want to watch Cincinnati play. Come on, Dad. Can we not watch?
You want to watch the Reds? I'll watch the Reds.
Would you rather watch the Reds or Illinois baseball?
Woof. The Reds.
Thank you. Was that so hard?
It wasn't.
Thank you. What's not hard is I actually don't know where I'm going with that segue. Let's just let's just push that off. Let's reset here. Timeout. Philly. Cool. All right. John Walker going to be on the show at 11 o'clock.
Whiskey.
If you want to go ahead and get in on the action today, 402-951-1620. The Prairie Flower Casino Zone Hotline. Text in as well. 402-951-1620. Don't forget to email on the Equitable Bank Zone inbox. Equitable Bank. They take banking personally. And never forget to tweet at us at the Liquid Trucking Zone Twitter feed. At Matt McMedia. At Producer Josh. We have a great show. It's a wacky guest Wednesday.
Sure
Come
is.
on. Are you kidding me? It's gonna be a great time. Sabrina Carpenter is here. Whoa! On Middays with Matt on the 1620 Zone Radio Network. We are currently working to get Mr. John Walker on the phone. I have a couple of questions for him, including he had a incredible feature on Trinity Shad Saris, who volleyball player, outside hitter, who ended up performing in track and won a Big East title, and he wrote a great feature on that. So we'll ask about that. We'll also, though, want to give our congratulations to Chris McGowan, the new coach of the Omaha Supernovas, was hired earlier today. Brings a wealth of experience to the Supernovas and replacing Thomas Robson, who is the interim head coach, who helped lead the Supernovas after a up and down difficulty season where they ended up having to go to an interim head coach. They still made the finals of the MLV, but Chris McGowan, the new head skipper of the Omaha Supernovas. So congratulations to the Supernovas and Coach McGowan. We will still be working to get John Walker on the line here over the next couple of minutes. But for now, let's talk about some things that we will ask Mr. Walker about eventually when he gets back to us. Will Wade is pissing a lot of people off, Josh Hodson. A lot of people are mad at Mr. Wade.
Who does he think he is?
He's doing a lot of things that people thought we were done doing. After James Najee didn't necessarily go the way that Scott Drew over at Baylor wanted it to go, after Charles Bediako was over at Alabama, and Nate Oates got put his feet to the coals of the fire, and ended up Bediako was not granted an ability to play college basketball. We thought we were all done with these godforsaken former G League players who were drafted or signed contracts or who did whatever they did. Apparently we are not, because RJ Lewis is committed to playing at LSU. We bring on John Walker from the Omaha World Herald to talk in part about that. John, all my homies hate Will Wade. Do you hate Will Wade too?
See, I want to say yes, but like part of me can't even fault him.
I can fault. You definitely can fault him. What do you mean you can't fault him?
You can. You can.
Yes.
If you fault Will Wade, then
yes.
You have to fault a lot of other coaches.
Okay, so
they're just simply taking advantage of an errant system that the NCAA has done nothing about.
Sure.
And is trying to do something about with 5-5. But yeah, like this is just kind of like, it's ridiculous for sure.
Okay, so I know where you're going here, and let's add some caveats and let's get into the details of the situation. I agree with you. When it comes to the EuroLeague guys, I don't really like fault him that much, because there's a bunch of EuroLeague guys across the nation right now. Hell, everybody's in love with Illinois right now. Two of their best players played in the Montenegro Pro League before they got to Champaign, right? And if you also want to get mad at, him getting for G League guys, well, Providence just got a G League guy who played on two different G League teams before. Now, he never, got drafted, but like, there is some lines that other teams are crossing that Will Wade is crossing in some of these guys that he is recruiting and getting to LSU, G League plus EuroLeague guys. But I think the line that everybody knows not to cross and doesn't want to cross anymore, especially after the Charles Bediako situation, is guys who have signed NBA contracts and guys who have gotten drafted. And he's done both of those at this point. And I feel like there was this demeanor across college basketball that we had flown by that was done, that after Bediako and after Najee, that we were okay. That was the story of that season that honestly shouldn't overtake all of the other great things that happened. We're moving on. And now he's reopening Pandora's box. And I think that's why a lot of people have animosity against him right now.
Yeah, I mean, people have animosity against him because it's Will Wade. I mean, they don't need any extra reason, for sure. And he obviously gave them one. But, like why wouldn't you if you were Will Wade or any other college coach?
Wait. Why wouldn't you? I'm sure other college coaches have had the opportunity to do that, and they've chosen not to do that because they know that opening this box would lead to once again potentially having college basketball no longer be college basketball. That's why I think that's why you wouldn't do it.
But, of course you wouldn't, and there's a moral obligation that comes along with that. But at the end of the day, Matt, we're trying to win basketball games here. And the NCAA selection committee showed you last year that regardless of what Alabama had done, like, the fact of the matter is they were also judged for the games that had Charles Bediako. And so it's like, all right, why would we not, if we can go get that guy? Like, there are a bunch of reasons not to, Matt. I understand what you're saying.
I know.
But I'm saying Will Wade, and
I know what
he
you're
doesn't give a damn what you think. He doesn't give a damn what I think. But he does give a damn about winning basketball games. And he's going to do whatever it takes to do that, regardless of how wrong it might be.
If I were to say that it's selfish, you would say it's what?
I would say that's correct.
Okay.
Two things can be true. I
agree.
By me trying to make my point, you're trying to you believe that I'm invalidating yours.
No, I don't think I know. Okay. I agree with that. I know what you're saying. And I'm going to be real with you. If we're going off of strictly business, John, strictly business, you're right. Right? If we're going off of strict business of W's and L's, then sure. But I do think that it needs to be taken into account that basically the rest of Will Wade's peers are willing to not go into that type of business in order to jeopardize the current structure of college basketball. And I do think that needs to be
Will Wade doesn't
reflective
care about them.
Yeah.
That's my point. Is he doesn't care about the morality of it all. He cares about winning basketball games. He's shown that.
Yeah.
3 different stops now. And he's bringing that back to LSU. I'm not saying that's right, but I'm telling you, that's certainly what it is.
It's 1,000,000% what it is. And it's just funny. I think this all flows back to how just little we trust the NCAA. I think that is always the thing that we can always hang our hat on, that in any sort of other democracy, or any sort of other sport that had a strong governing system, we would trust that something as silly as this would get struck down immediately. But I think it always funnels back to just how little we trust the NCAA to do the right thing.
Yeah, and this, moving forward, like, to be clear, R.J. Lewis has not been cleared to play college basketball at the moment. So, this is kind of a big step for the NCAA. They set precedent with the Nanji stuff. They set precedent with the Charles Bediako stuff. And so it's like, okay, now can you make sure you stand your ground one more time so that we don't open this can of worms? Especially right before new eligibility rules go into effect. Like, that would just be a mess, and this, that, and the other. So I personally do not think R.J. Lewis gets cleared. If Charles Bediako didn't, if Nanji didn't, but boy, is this kind of a big, another big case for the NCAA.
Yeah, I'm sure you've been paying attention to the things that are going on at the Big Ten meetings, and I'll funnel this back to basketball. Just let me get there. Where you have the Big Ten, who is currently talking about maybe we need a self-governance system, and maybe we need to, handle things on our own because the College Sport Commission cannot. And, maybe you have Dan Lanning, who's basically like, there's 138 teams who, are in college football, and not all of them have a chance to win a college football national championship. Maybe we need to rethink how we do things in terms of a league. And you're literally having the Big Ten Conference talk about breaking away from things when it comes to football. If you're the Big East, are you kind of just sitting back, just watching all this happen because you don't have to have anything to do with that sport? Or is there anything in terms of what's going on with these football conferences that could potentially affect what the Big East does in terms of basketball? Is there any sort of collateral damage in terms of that stuff that you can read?
Yeah, I would certainly think so, because the fact of the matter is, without football, the Big East has no real buying power here. And they do regard, sure, because at the end of the day, it is a basketball-driven conference, and they have brands like Nova and UConn and Georgetown, and then you have people part of the new Big East over the past decade plus, and a Creighton and a Marquette, and so you have those, but also clearly, as we've seen over the past 5 years, the Big 12 has caught up. The SEC has caught up. The Big 10 has caught up. I mean, the Big 10 just won its first championship in 20 whatever years, 25, 26 years. And so all of these other basketball leagues have gotten better.
Yeah.
And all of that to say, like, they now also have a seat at the basketball table. And because they also have football, they are the controlling voices of college athletics. Because that's like all of this is driven by money. Most decisions, nearly every decision made in the NCAA is driven by money one way or another.
Yeah.
And obviously we're not naive enough to believe that football is not the driving force in the dollars.
Yeah.
Because it is. And so, yeah, like the Big Ten, if say they were like, yeah, we're going to govern ourselves and we're going to get together with the Big 12 and the SEC and we're going to break off and have a football entity and we'll look after it ourselves, blah, 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 blah. That would be like interesting for the Big East because would it level out the playing field in basketball? Would it put the Big East behind? Like, I don't know, but there would definitely be a trickle-down effect to the Big East, whatever that might end up being.
Yeah, it will be very interesting to see if football teams are allowed to basically have virtually no cap in the future on what they're able to spend on their teams. Does it affect anything that happens with basketball, right? You know, because it does seem like with the bit of the cap that you have, maybe some of that money that might be allocated to football could potentially get funneled back to basketball if that cap doesn't exist. Is there any funneling back potentially? We don't know. And also this just comes out of pure speculation just because of the fact that we don't have any paper trail, right? I mean, we don't really know, you know, what teams are spending on what rosters. We only go off of rumors and intel. And then we even have athletic directors telling us, don't believe that intel, don't believe those numbers, take them with a big grain of salt. So it's all an interesting and honestly exhausting and headache inducing process when it comes to just trying to follow everything that's going on and how it affects everybody. And then, oh, hey, the government's involved too. So that just makes everything else super simple. Let's talk about something that you wrote this week. Very big fan of it. I want you to just kind of tell people the story. And I apologize if I'm saying her name wrong. You can go ahead and correct me. Trinity Shad Series. Is that correct?
Series. Like the World Series.
Trinity Shad Series. You do a beautiful job of telling this story. Track star, but also volleyball player Brian Rosen involved in your story as well. You got some great poll quotes from Coach Rosen, the second year Creighton head volleyball coach. Just please detail just the things that you wrote at Omaha.com. I mean, I think it's a wonderfully done job by you.
Yeah, it was really just a fun story to write. You don't come across this often. Yeah, like Trinity Shad Series. She's from Ontario, and essentially had the best jump at the Olympic trials before the Paris Olympics 2 years ago, but she did not reach the overall qualifying mark. She was like 28 inches off of that, so a little more than a couple feet. And she did not jump well that day and still won the Olympic qualifier, but again, the Canadian trial, but did not qualify for the Olympics. And so she really was just kind of like, okay, I'm good on this. I'm good. And it had just become too much on her mental. So she put track in the back burner and kind of hung up her spikes. Goes to Wisconsin, fully immerses herself in volleyball for 2 years. Well, guess what, Matt? Second semester of her freshman season, after she played sparingly behind some of the best hitters in the country, she tore her shoulder. It was supposed to take 4 months. It took, she was out until November.
Jeez.
So she comes back, contributes in Wisconsin's Final Four run, and then enters the portal talking to Brian Rosen, and he, through trying to find a replacement for Ava Martin, was digging into Trinity Shad Series background and noticed she did track and literally just by happenstance was like, hey, would you ever be interested in running track again? and she considered it, even though she never thought she would again, and said, sure, why not? So she spent the spring balancing volleyball and track, and now she won the Big East. She is going to go to regionals in a couple of weeks, and she has a pretty solid chance of making it to nationals in mid-June. Guess what, Matt? Creighton doesn't even have a sand pit on campus. So really, it's just like an insane story of a world-class jumper who kind of fell out of love with the sports she grew up doing, went looking for love in another, and then rediscovered her joy for jumping.
It's a beautiful story, and I encourage anyone to read it on omaha.com. Let's do just a complete 180 in terms of a pivot before we let you go here. John Walker, the Omaha World Herald, talk a little bit of college basketball beforehand. Any updates on Creighton men's basketball? Any updates in terms of guys that they're looking at, guys that they're potentially going to try and bring in to fill out those final roster spots? Are there maybe any overseas prospects they're looking at? Any prospects here in the United States? I mean, it seems like everybody is looking everywhere when it comes to college basketball production. What can you tell us in these late stages of filling out the Blue Jay roster, John Walker?
Yeah, I think the Jays are going to try and get another guard. Shocked, right?
Yeah.
On a roster that added a bunch of backcourt talent this year. I don't think they're done adding there. I think they're looking at one more guard. And we'll see how that progresses over the next week or so. And then the last spot is really interesting because it's like, do you hold it just in case something shakes out, or do you try and fill it with a situation that like you didn't expect? Like who knows? I think the last spot will be really interesting, but I do believe that Creighton is going to continue to add to the backcourt with one of its final two spots.
Good to know. Good to know. John Walker, you are the man. Are you excited for Game 2 of the Western Conference Finals tonight?
I'm excited for Game 2. You could put 7 games of that of what we got in Game 1. You could put 7 games worth of that in a vial and inject it in my veins. So loved it. I hope we get the exact same thing tonight, and 2 nights from now, and 2 nights after that, and all the way for a couple of weeks.
I appreciate you, JW. Great conversation as always. We will talk to you very soon, my friend.
Yes, sir. See you, Matt.
See you. John Walker, the Omaha World Herald. Obviously, we would all like a double overtime thriller that includes Victor Wembanyama hitting a 28-footer in order to tie the game at 108. We would all love that to happen.
Alien.
Game in and game out. Best player in the world, undoubtedly. Just got to stay healthy throughout his entirety of a career. And he's easily a first ballot Hall of Famer. I don't think anybody is going to argue with that. And I also think that you could probably make some irresponsibly bold predictions when it comes to how many championships over the next 10 years both the Thunder and the Spurs are going to end up winning, just because you look across. Not only do the Thunder and Spurs have the best just core and depth in the NBA, they have the best young cores in the NBA. Like they already have a great core, and then they're all super young. Wembanyama's on his 3rd year. Harper's on his 2nd year. Castle's on his 3rd year. Like, it's ridiculous how many young guys that both these rosters have. OKC kind of in the second stage in terms of developing from youth into veteran status. But I don't think it's going to be a close game tonight. I don't know why I'm making a bunch of predictions today. I don't know why I feel like I'm in the mood to predict everything.
It's typically good for us. I'm not going to stop
Typically, it gets me in trouble. I think the Vegas Golden Knights are going to beat the Colorado Avalanche tonight. And I think the Thunder are going to blow them out.
Oh, really?
And maybe not a blowout. I think just a very controlled and tempered victory.
Not down to the last possession.
No. I think OKC will have a good 8 to 12 point lead for a good part of this game. Now I'm getting way too specific. But I think that the Thunder are going to handily win the game tonight. I think they're going to walk in being like, there is no way on God's green earth that we are going to be able to go down 2-0 heading into San Antonio. We have to win tonight in order to give ourselves a shot at winning the NBA Finals, because I think it's pretty clear that this Western Conference Finals might as well be the NBA Finals. So we will see. I think the Thunder win handily tonight against Oklahoma, or against the San Antonio Spurs. And then Game 3, I couldn't tell you. Couldn't tell you my ass or my elbow what that Game 3 would look like when it comes to if they were to be tied 1-1 heading into San Antonio. Should be a fun game tonight. Let's go ahead and do some anonymous coach quotes. We're going to grab a bunch of anonymous coach quotes from Nebraska's upcoming Big Ten opponents this season. What do coaches think about the Nebraska schedule? What do coaches think about the teams that Nebraska is going to have to play in a very pivotal year 4 for Matt Rule in Lincoln? We talk about that next here on Middays with Matt on the 1620 The Zone Radio Network. Okay, I've noticed some slight bitching. Bitching this week.
Is it beginning?
On Twitter. We are not here to encourage the bitching against Nebraska football in any way, shape, or form. We're just here to monitor and score it. Okay. That's all we're here to do.
Yeah.
Right. We're just betting on it is what we're doing. Some slight bitching this week when it comes to Nebraska's 2027 recruiting class. Bear with me. We talked a lot about this class, a lot about 2027, a lot about how just dialed in this entire this coaching staff has been when it comes to recruiting, not just prospects.
It's all about 2027.
It really is. I mean, that's been a theme for a good 18 months now, really ever dating back to Trey Taylor committing to be the next Nebraska quarterback. And things have slowed down just a little bit. 8 commits, and more and more 2027s are committing to other schools across the country. And Nebraska isn't just going to, and this was the point I was trying to make, it's not just that they're getting a bunch of commits and they're, in the top ranks in terms of recruiting classes. Like, no, they're going after blue chip guys. They're going after top dudes. And so there's been some slight bitching because Rivals released the top 25 and Nebraska is 28th in the country right now. They've been falling just a little bit back ever so slightly if the weeks have gone on as more blue chippers have committed elsewhere. Well, according to our friend Tim Verghese, who retweeted a article from Steve Wiltfong, who is the head honcho over there, the big man on campus when it comes to Rivals recruiting, he has written, Nebraska looks like they're about to get hot again on the recruiting trail as head coach Matt Rule and the Huskers aim to build on a class Rivals currently ranks number 19th nationally. Rule and his staff have 8 commits to date. The next one could come from prized offensive lineman recruit Jordan Agbanama. Agbanama is what we're going with. Agbanoma. Somebody phonetically can come and help me out at some point. Jordan Agbanama. The Loganville, Georgia Grayson Blue Chipper ranks as the number 6 interior offensive lineman and the number 75 prospect overall per the Rivals 300. He is also strongly considered Georgia, Texas A&M, and Florida, to name a few others. But he's always felt at home in Lincoln, and Nebraska has the momentum. Agbanama says
he's always
the
felt
environment
at home in Nebraska. What does that mean?
The environment is amazing. The coaches and the facilities continue to catch my eye.
All right.
I love what they have planned with the 27 class, and it's a great thing to be a part of. Whoa, to be a part of. Well, you haven't committed, young man, but apparently he's already a part of that. With that, Chad Simmons and I have logged predictions in favor of the Huskers to land Agbanama.
Bong bomb.
Here we go, baby. They need it. Now,
Big Hog Molly, Big Hoss.
There was, I believe it's 24/7 has them ranked 20th. Let me, because I saw a graphic on, this is what I'm referring to. I saw a graphic on Twitter that had Nebraska not ranked in the top 25, and people were very upset about it. People were kind of
for the recruiting class.
For the recruiting class.
Okay.
They were like, what's happening? The 2027 class is supposed to be great. They're supposed to be, I don't want to go as far as to say saving grace, but they're supposed to get a lot of people excited, and yet Nebraska is not ranked in the top 25. They are now 29th according to 24/7, but 19th according to Rivals.
A big disparity.
That is a big discrepancy. We need to get our crap together, everybody. We need to be a little bit closer in numbers and recruiting evaluations. But Nebraska trending for a top 75 prospect and a top 6 offensive lineman. How about them apples? I got the offensive lineman. How about them apples?
Cautiously optimistic.
Cautiously optimistic. The water is running and my pitcher is ready to be filled up.
I'm ready to get hurt again. We have a comment on the YouTube stream. Hi, guys. How are things?
Great, Happer.
Connor Happer, stuck in
Prasco Park,
Mason, Ohio, waiting for a 6:30 scheduled first pitch. I know it's moved around a lot today. Just kind of wanted to slide that update in between things we're doing here.
breaking. We are going to have Brett Ciancia on tomorrow. Tomorrow. We have officially booked Brett Ciancia, the writer of the Pick Six previews. He has texted us 12 o'clock tomorrow. We're going to have Brett Ciancia on, have a little bit of college football flavor. I'm sorry that I have to interrupt that. Happer, thank you so much for joining us. I would like a Chick-fil-A night in Prasco Park t-shirt. And if Josh and I do not get Chick-fil-A night at Prasco Park t-shirts, we are no longer your friend. Josh, let me do the negotiating. Right, Josh?
All right.
We are no longer friends of Connor Happer if we do not get Chick-fil-A night at Prasco Park t-shirts.
Stand by this declaration.
We deserve gifts because we are good people. Right, Josh?
We are good people, yes.
When I point at you, you talk.
Thank you.
When I point, right
we're
here?
good.
We're good. We'd like Prasco Park t-shirts, please. Chick-fil-A night. Let's talk about our favorite thing. So we are in like Happer, actually. Shout out Happer. He said that we were in interesting take season. Okay.
People are just going to say uneducated things right now.
That's an interesting take, or that's an interesting perspective. And he could not be more correct. We are in the point where it's like, wow, that's really interesting. I did not realize that. And then we'll get into real hostile season where it's like after the books come out and after the magazines come out, and we're all a little bit more educated in terms of things, then we'll start getting into hostile take season, and then we'll just get into the season. But right now, we're kind of in the slight bitching, slight interesting takes, slight just moaning and whining because we're just so far away, but we want football so much. And we're also just in an environment where everything is just changing all the time. Every time it seems like there's another big old quote drop from another commissioner or another athletic director or somebody in power that you go, whoa, didn't see that coming. Didn't think that would be something that came out of their mouths or something that they're looking to do. But that's currently where we are in the world of college athletics. So one of the more interesting articles that comes during interesting take season is the anonymous coaches quotes / article that we all get, where coaches from across the Big Ten anonymously tell you the truth or what they believe a football team is looking like, what direction they think that football team is going. Candid things about these football programs that they would not be willing to put their name under, but they are willing to tell Athlon Sports exactly how they feel about certain programs. We spent time yesterday talking about those anonymous quotes when it came to Nebraska football. I thought it'd be interesting, though, to go ahead and pull some of these quotes when it came to Nebraska football's opponents. What do other teams feel, or how do other teams feel about the teams that Nebraska is going to have to play and, frankly, going to have to beat in a very, very important and I want to call it consequential fourth season, and where if Nebraska were if Nebraska were to meet expectations, which would be 6-7 wins, we could spin it into, okay, hey, tough schedule, tough year, that's fine. If Nebraska were to exceed expectations and win somewhere around 8 games, that would be oh my God, this program might be actually heading in the direction as quickly as I want it to. Because there is a difference between the direction there's a difference between Nebraska football heading in the right direction and Nebraska football heading in the direction at the speed you would prefer it to happen. Nebraska football is heading in the right direction. Record and stats and accomplishments tell you that straight up factually. Nebraska football is heading in an upward trajectory. It just isn't it's not happening as quickly as a lot of people would like it to occur, but it is going in that way. 8 wins would be heading in the right direction and heading at a speed that I think we would deem acceptable for a lot of fans. Now, let's talk about some of these teams that Nebraska football is going to be playing and what coaches think about them. Let's start with Illinois. A coach said about Illinois, they do a great job at not swinging for home runs every time they go and recruit. They don't waste time, and they evaluate super well. They also said about Illinois, the D-line was insanely good, but they've lost a lot of those guys. Gabe Jacas is the guy that they ended up losing. He got drafted by the New England Patriots. You cannot forget, too, that we're talking about a Illinois football roster that also has had guys like Keith Randolph Jr. They've had guys like Johnny Newton, who got drafted by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They've had really good defensive lines when it comes to Illinois football. The thing about Illinois is that, and this can also be equated to Iowa. Let me read you what they have about Iowa. What they've been doing has been working. It's been developmental. But in this day and age, you can't do that anymore. The quotes continue to compliment that they think Iowa's done a really good job of entering the transfer portal and grabbing not just guys, but the right guys for the program. The quotes continue, I would still bet a lot of money that they're going to be really good, and the culture of that team will still be intact. The thing about Iowa and Illinois is that they have gone through this process multiple times now, way more under Kirk Ferentz than under Brett Bielema, but that's more of a time thing, where they're not necessarily getting blue chip prospects. They're not necessarily getting those gaudy 5-4-star guys at the same rate that Oregon, Ohio State, or Penn State is getting. But what they've been able to do is create a culture, model, and foundation, and where they evaluate really well, they recruit really well, and then they develop even better, and they play within their system. And the thing about Illinois is that they are losing a ton. I mean, they lost a lot. I mean, the foundation of Illinois has been that defensive line. And Luke Altmaier, I think, was one of the most underrated players in all of college football for the last couple of seasons. They've lost him as well. And you're replacing him with a guy in Caden Hauser, who was really good at Eastern Carolina last year. But, and Nebraska actually did play against Caden Hauser in year one of Matt Rule when they went to Michigan State and lost that game. He's a guy who played really well at ECU, but he was not good at all at Michigan State. So there is a bit of hesitancy when it comes to, hey, how is Illinois going to be this year? And Iowa had a record number of players drafted that they've ever had in their program's history. They lost a lot of key contributors from last year to this year. And so there is nervousness when it comes to, man, how are these teams going to recover from that? At the same time, they are so well within their system and have such a good model, culture, and foundation where, yeah, they've lost a lot, but do you not trust Brett at this point to replace some of those guys with the talent and evaluation process that they've gone through in the past? I trust him to do that. Do you not trust Kirk to do the same thing and replace those guys that they lost with guys who had similar profiles from them in the past? Absolutely, I trust that. And so that's kind of where, if you're not an Oregon or an Ohio State or, a top team that gets all, like a Michigan that can roll out of bed and get top 10 recruiting classes, if you're not at that level, I think the next level you want to be at is where Iowa and Illinois is, which is, once in a blue moon, we might catch lightning in a bottle and be able to compete with these guys. And Illinois hasn't, Illinois has beaten 2 SEC teams in their last 2 bowl games. Granted, not the best SEC teams. Now, Iowa's, proven, granted, not a ton, but definitely more than Illinois, that they can compete at the top level against a Michigan, Ohio State. But the point being this, if you're not rolling out of bed getting those top recruiting classes, I think that's exactly where you want to be in Illinois and Iowa. And those are 2 teams that, yeah, they're losing quite a bit from last season to this season, but their foundation still makes them a scary opponent for Nebraska football. Coaches believe that. Interesting little tidbit here about Maryland. So Maryland Terrapins are not a scared team, or not a scary team in the Big Ten this year. They were
the turtle.
They were ranked 14th in the CBS Sports Big Ten rankings this year. But I want to offer 2 interesting stats on the exact opposite part of the border for Maryland. Mike Locksley and the Terrapins are 2-16 against Big Ten opponents and 1-14 in post-September games over the past 2 seasons. That is bad. They're awful.
2-16 in conference?
2-16 in conference over the last 2 seasons.
Okay.
But they returned 14 starters and 65% of its overall snaps from what was a young roster last year. Quotes about Maryland. They're hanging a lot on their quarterback, Malik Washington, the freshman last year, and hoping he repeats what he did last year as a freshman. One anonymous coach says, I get the sense that they would like Locksley to work out. That is a pretty tough situation to be in. I think Rutgers is kind of in the same situation too, where it's like,
this is probably the best we can do.
Yeah,
but we would fire a normal coach under these circumstances.
There you go.
Yeah.
If we were a normal program
Yep.
with normal expectations that actually was wanting and yearning for more in terms of a football program, we'd probably sack this guy already. But he's actually done a damn good job at high school recruiting. Mike Loxley's had, and Malik Washington could be a very, very dynamic player for the Terrapins this year. I don't know. Like, history would tell you Maryland probably not going to be all that good, but at the same time, younger roster last year has done pretty well in high school recruiting in the past, returning a lot of their production. Now, I've always been somebody who's like, I don't give a damn if you're returning a ton of production if that production won 5 games.
Sure.
There's a difference between, hey, we have 60% of returning or 80% of returning production on a 6-win team or 60% of returning production on a 10-win team. What would you rather have? I'd rather have the 60% returning production on a double-digit win team. But still something that could be an interesting team. Here's another interesting team.
Okay, go ahead.
Michigan State.
Sparty.
I think Michigan State, outside of the top teams in the Big Ten, I think they were the only like middling to bad team or expected bad team that got all positive quotes. Here's a quote about Michigan State. That whole staff of position coaches made me go, oh, interesting. They brought on a lot of good coaches. So I think they'll be a good team this year. Another anonymous quote said, I'm pretty bullish on them. They also reference more coaches that they like in the third quote. Nick Tabacco, who's the O-line coach, James Adams, who's the safety coach. Plus, you can't forget, they took LeVar Woods from Iowa, put him over to Michigan State. I would like to think I'm the residential Pat Fitzgerald expert here on 1620 The Zone and maybe in the Omaha market. 1-year turnarounds has never been this guy's thing. And what I mean by that is like Northwestern gets some really good teams, but it takes them about 2 to 3 years to develop those teams, have those guys take their lumps, and then they win at a high level for 2 years, and then they completely re-rack the deck. People go, oh my God, Pat Fitzgerald's record after the 2020 Big Ten championship game appearance was absolutely atrocious. Here's my counter argument to that. That 2023 team ended up winning 8 games with David Braun. Okay. That 2023 team was ready to win a lot with Pat Fitzgerald. Like, that team was ready to go and compete and had a ton of experience under their belt. And they probably would have repeated a really good season under Fitz in 2024. So I proffer that with, it's very interesting the staff that they had. It's very interesting with the coaches that they've had. As somebody who's watched this guy coach very closely for basically my entire life, I've never seen him really come into a situation and just be like, here's the secret sauce. We flip the switch. We're going to go and we're going to win. I think it will be quicker at MSU than it was at Northwestern because he doesn't have those underlying restrictions that he had academically as a Spartans head coach as he did the Wildcats head coach. But I don't think it's as quick as, oh, he has a great coaching staff, they're going to win right away.
So the counter to your argument, I think for Michigan State would probably be the schedule. They avoid Ohio State and Indiana.
Okay.
If they can take some of those, I don't know what you would 50-50 games or whatever, Wisconsin, UCLA, Rutgers, like if they can win those coupled with some of the non-conference wins that they should get, they might make a bowl game.
They might,
which would be improvement
massive
versus a 4-win team last
year.
They
just needed a different culture. They needed a different scheme. And Pat Fitzgerald is, in terms of Midwestern guy, Big Ten guy, exactly what they need. All right, we got to hit a break here real quick. You know what? Let's hit a break right now. Let's talk about the quotes from Ohio State and Oregon. 2 teams that Nebraska's going to play, because I find it very interesting. And we'll talk about different buckets different teams get placed in. What bucket do you want to be in? I think it's pretty clear, but I think there could be an argument made for what's the next bucket you want to be put in. We talk about that next year at Middays with Matt. Alrighty. 4 things in 4.5 minutes here on a wacky guess Wednesday. With
4.5 minutes is a lot of time.
It
okay?
is so much time, actually. I mean, you can get a lot of things done in 4.5 minutes.
Absolutely.
I mean, you can get a lot of different. Okay, I'll just
if not, it's on you.
Some would say though, like going more than 4.5 minutes would be overkill.
You're
right?
just showing off.
At that point, it's just like, come on.
A lot of people can do 20-minute segments. Okay.
Yeah, but how many can really do a great 4.5 minutes?
Mhm.
That's what we need to be asking ourselves. Point number 1 about Indiana. The biggest glaring thing is the production they lost in the wide receiver room. They've got some young guys coming in, and they've paid a S-ton for Michigan State transfer Nick Marsh. So we'll see how he does. Get out of here. Nick Marsh is awesome. He's going to catch so many passes from Josh Hoover. And did we forget about Charlie Becker, who was one of the best wide receivers Indiana had during the college football playoff? That's kind of crazy. Then another quote about Indiana. They still return most of their production, but to me, it's hard to replicate what Fernando did. TCU quarterback Josh Hoover is a good player, but I think he's got some turnover issues. Other than that, they're reloaded. Let me get this straight. Indiana made it to the college football playoff with Curtis Rourke before Fernando Mendoza ended up being their quarterback. Like, come on, let's stop it here. Here's my favorite one about Indiana. They're going to lose that rush of James Madison guys that they had the last 2 years. So they could definitely struggle in some areas of continuity where maybe the talent does have to take over. But I'm definitely not going to underestimate Indiana again. Do you know who did really well after they lost the James Madison guys? James Madison, okay? So much so that Bob Chesney got hired by UCLA. Get out of here, all right? Stop. I mean, I don't know why we keep doing this with Indiana. Let's talk about Ohio State. I'm calling a little bit of BS here, okay? A little bit. They get very highly heralded for hiring Matt Patricia, which I couldn't agree with more. I think Matt Patricia was one of the best coordinator hires of the country last year. And I think that Ohio State has done a very good job of being like, look, we have a ton of talent. We don't really need our coordinators to have a ton of like relationship, like, with our players. They just need to scheme it up and go and play. But they were like, Matt Patricia, what made them good, they were super simple. They'd let you take something super short and run your base stuff and then not budge to that. Then the second you got out of your stuff, they're ready for it. They were mentally tougher than you. Yes, totally agree. Matt Patricia, great coordinator hire. You know what also helps? Having the number 5 overall pick on your team, having the number 7 overall pick on your defense, having the number 11 overall pick on your defense, having the 33rd pick on their defense. I mean, it's one of those things where I give a ton of credit to Matt Patricia and how simple he is and how they do things over there. At the same time, is it unfair for me to mention the fact that they've had one of the best rosters just from a pure draft perspective that we've ever seen in terms of not only how many first-round picks they got, but how many top picks that they got as well? We will look at that Ohio State roster for quite a while and say, how did they not pull that off? Like, how did they not win? Oregon, real quick, couldn't agree with more with this quote. That might be the best roster in football. With the returners they have on the D-line at the back end, with the addition of Coy Parrish from Minnesota, and then offensively, basically returning everyone except for a couple of running backs, a couple of O-linemen, and Sadiq Bey, I think they feel really good about where they're at. They have the best quarterback we faced last year. Dante Moore is a stud. Dan Lanning is a stud. They have they are just chocked full of talent, chocked full of great, not just from high school, but from the transfer portal as well. This Oregon team, and I think I related to with Texas and Sark, like anything less than a national championship for Sark and Lanning would be a disappointment, because I think one of those two guys are due in order to win a national championship, especially with the money and talent they have. Real quick, you want to guess who said this quote about Nebraska? You want to give a little guess to who said there are a ton of denial with the quarterback situation? Dylan Raiola is as good as they get as a player and as a person. Losing him, I thought, was their last hope. He was the pin that was holding that thing together. You want to guess who that was?
That has to be Dan Lanning.
Without a doubt. Coming up next, let's talk about some of the things Dan Lanning said at the Big Ten meeting here on Middays with Matt. By the way, I want to give a quick shout out to two Huskers who were named to the USA national volleyball team. Lexi Rodriguez was one of the 4 liberos selected, and Maddie Cubic Banks is one of the 9 outside hitters on the 2026 USA national team roster
Let's
who
go.
will go ahead and compete at the Volleyball Nations League. So congratulations to those 2 Huskers representing the Big Red. Lexi Rodriguez, I think we can all... Everyone who's watched her play and her incredible career over in Lincoln knows that that's probably going to be a regular place that she's at when it comes to the USA volleyball roster, just continuing the legacy of the incredible USA or Huskers who were on the USA volleyball rosters and some of which who went to go on and play and win Olympic medals. So congratulations to those 2 Huskers. Also some local news here. Some non-local that will turn into local news. Bear with me here. John Rothstein reporting Houston and LSU are finalizing an agreement to meet next season at the Toyota Center. Very interesting matchup between 2 programs that are on very different sides of the aisle right now. Kelvin Sampson and Houston very much know who they are, know what they're trying to accomplish, have the model that they recruit and develop to and go and win at a very high level. And LSU kind of doing the opposite and zagging in terms of that regard and trying to find out who they are and trying to win at a high level. That'll be a very interesting matchup. And then how about this one? Syracuse and Rutgers working to finalize an agreement to meet next season at the Barclays Center, according to multiple reports. So that will be one heck of a matchup. Jerry McNamara, the new head coach for Syracuse this season. And then John Rothstein, 4 hours ago, released an interview with college basketball head coach Alan Huss.
All aboard the Huss bus.
They talk about taking over at Creighton, watching high point of the NCAA tournament, the Big East, and more things to talk about. So very excited to listen to what Huss has to say to John Rothstein after the show. So very interesting there. Some local basketball team getting some national attention. Also, the Rothstein Top 45 released today. Nebraska currently ranked 28th in the John Rothstein Top 45 heading in to next season. Creighton is at, let's see here, 39. In front of Kentucky, but behind the likes of Texas A&M and Providence, who Providence has made a lot of really, really good transfer portal acquisitions under their new coach, Brian Hodgson. So interesting things happening in college basketball. We will talk about some of those interesting things later in the show. Don't forget, it's a Wacky Guest Wednesday at 1 o'clock. We will bring on a wacky guest to discuss with us. I do not know who our wacky guest is. Only Josh Odson knows. He has booked them. It used to be Mike Schaefer and Connor Happer used to know, but Happer wasn't in studio today. He is actually in Cincinnati at Prasco Park. First pitch 6:30 for the Creighton Blue Jays tonight. Correct. Connor Happer will be on the call on 1180 Yacht Rock 1180. Some meetings going on in California for the Big Ten. A lot of interesting things occurring there. The headline over the CBS article that I read today was Big Ten explores self-governance as College Sport Commission sputters. Congress action stalls. This is a doozy of an article written by Brandon Marcello, who is on the campus of, just in Ranchos Palos Verdes, California, at a very gaudy hotel that the Big Ten has decided to book this meeting at. Essentially, and just kind of spark notes here, Big Ten's pissed. Big Ten is not happy with how the College Sport Commission is acting. They are not happy with the deals that are not allowed to be passed through their clearinghouse NIL Go. They are not happy that they believe that they don't and should not have to play at the same rules that everybody else plays at because of their superiority, whether it comes through competition, talent, or just revenue generating. I do think they have a certain leg to stand on, but I also think that the Big Ten needs to understand the importance of having other teams, conferences around them also be pretty good and be competitive for the betterment of the sport. But there are some very strong quotes right now coming out of Ranchos Palos Verdes, California, when it comes to the Big Ten meeting. Ross Bjork The Ohio State University athletic director said, "We cannot govern national right now," is what he mentioned. Bjork also went on to say, so what's currently on the table, so let me just kind of summarize everything here. 20.5 million. Now we believe it's 21.2 million after the increase heading into this year. That is the number that the schools specifically can give to their athletes across their sports, right? That is essentially their quote unquote cap before you start adding the NIL dollars. That 21.2 million or whatever that number is, that can only be spread out across. So you don't give 21 million to football, 21 million to basketball, no. You got to spread that number out across all of those sports, right? How did they get to that number, though? This is actually something that I learned through reading this article. It wasn't just a random number that was assigned. What they did was they gathered up all the revenue that the power conferences made, and then they multiplied it by 22%. And that's how they got that number. So they basically averaged out all the revenue, multiplied it by 0.22, and said, okay, this is the 22% average of the revenue. And this is what you're allowed to spend according to the House settlement. This is your cap. And essentially what the Big Ten is saying is, we actually would like it to be based off of our Big Ten conference percentage and not the overall percentage of all of the power conferences. So what the Big Ten is saying is, instead of getting 22% or whatever percentage based is off of everybody, we would like to get a percentage based off of what we're making specifically, because that's what we're doing. And obviously, if you were to do your cap off of your specific revenue, off of your specific conference revenue, the Big Ten and the SEC would have massive advantages over the ACC and the Big 12. Because essentially what the Big Ten is arguing is, we are being limited in terms of what we can spend on our cap because of the lower revenues of the other conferences around us. So people basically explain this to Ross Bjork and say, hey, dude, like if you want to go off of conference revenues, you're really going to be hindering the ACC and the Big 12 and the other conferences around you. Ross Bjork says, if it's percentage based off of revenue, then drive more revenue, and then you can lift your percentage. So basically, Ross Bjork goes, go F yourself. Go F yourself. I don't care. I don't care about you. I don't care about the ACC. I don't care about the Big 12. I don't care that they're going to be making less money. Hey, you want more cash? You want a higher cap? You want more money to spend in terms of, from your athletic department to your athletes? I got an idea for you. How about you make more money, buddy? Don't have your shortcomings when it comes to revenue affect what we're able to do. We're the Big Ten. We make a lot of cash.
We're not going to stop making money because you can't make
exactly. Money. So it's one of these things where it's like the Big Ten is very much stating right now at this meeting, we don't give an F about your feelings. We don't give an F about the ACC. We don't give an F about the Big 12. And they're even saying, I mean, what Tony Petitti is saying about the CSC is basically like, look, we want the CSC to work, but there's got to be some changes, okay? Petitti said this about the CSC. I just want to be really clear, because I've seen some reports and I've seen some people saying that you're breaking this rule or that rule. We've put in virtually more deals than anybody. We're doing what we're supposed to do. Put the deals in and get results. But what the Big Ten is really mad about, and mainly the SEC is mad about too, is that there was a promise, or at least the premises, that when you put in these deals to the College Sport Commission, that these deals were going to get cleared or rejected in 24 to 48 hours. 45% of deals have been resolved within that window, according to the CBS article. And here's a very interesting quote that becomes local very quickly. This is talking about Ross Bjork. He and other athletic directors believe the system is too restrictive on players by limiting third-party deals with multimedia right companies. Earlier this month, an arbitrator held up the CSC's decision to deny 18 NIL deals between Nebraska and football players and Playfly Sports, which is partnered with Nebraska Athletics Department, because the CSC is labeled as an associated entity, or because it was labeled by the CSC as an associated entity. In an unrelated case, House plaintiffs are set to question the CSC's definition of an associated entity in a California courtroom in June. Big Ten leaders also believe the revenue sharing caps need to be tweaked. It's one of those things where it's like the Big Ten wants to play ball. Tony Petitti is saying, hey, we're submitting more deals than anybody through the CSC. But at the same time, if the CSC is going to work, they need to make some tweaks before we go ahead and we have Congress come in, make sure and legitimize them. And so you have an arm of the Big Ten, the commissioner of the Big Ten being like, look, we're trying to play ball with the College Sport Commission, but they're going to have to play ball with us in order to make the tweaks that we want them to make in order to make sure that this thing is going to be governed the right way. You have Ross Bjork saying, we cannot govern nationally right now, and we need to consider some things that we need to do in terms of self-governance. And then you just have, an athletic director plainly going out and saying, nah, dude, like, if you're mad about the idea of us being able to spend within the percentage of our specific revenues and not the 22% of the average revenues across power sports, screw you. We're going to go ahead and tell you that you need to make more money. And then you have Dan Lanning saying, there's not 138 teams that can compete for a national championship or are playing at the same level. There isn't parity. Maybe they shouldn't all be represented by the same people. The Big Ten is coming out and swinging pretty big with some of these statements. Okay? They are laying the hammer in terms of Tony Petitti saying, look, I hope the CSC works, but they got to get their S together if they're really going to be an effective power, and we're going to be okay with them doing what they're doing. You have Ross Bjork saying, I don't give a damn what the other commissioners might think or what the other conferences might think. We need to be we need to be given a fair cap based on what we're making and what we're contributing to college football. And if they don't like that, I got 2 words for you. And then you have Dan Lanning saying, be real with you, we all shouldn't be represented by the same people. Be real with you. Probably all shouldn't be playing in the same under the same umbrella here. So, in the past, I've said that I was a little annoyed how Greg Sankey, after last year, was acting like the head honcho. I was a little annoyed with how Greg Sankey was, basically propelling the SEC to be the top dog in college football. And it seemed like he was really moving his weight around in terms of getting the things done he wanted to get done. And Greg Sankey had some power. But I was annoyed that he was doing that and that the Big Ten was allowing him to do that after the Big Ten had won the national championship with Ohio State. I was annoyed by that. This is kind of Tony Petitti moving his weight around right now. This is the Big Ten Conference kind of making that power play that some people have complained that they haven't been able to make. We have definitely been rooted into this whole conference rooting thing where people want the Big Ten to succeed and people want the SEC to succeed, and there's this kind of one versus the other. And despite the fact that the Big Ten had success over the last couple of years, the SEC was still moving as, hey, we're the Godfather. We're Don Corleone. We're making the decisions here. And the Big Ten has these meetings. The Big Ten brings in these reporters, and the Big Ten is letting it be known, hey, we are going to complain about things, but they're saying it in a way as if they call the shots. They're talking like Michael Corleone right now. They're not telling you necessarily suggestions. They're kind of telling you suggestions with the hint that, hey, these are decisions we want to make. These are things we want to get done. Now, I will tell you this. I did kind of dive into a rabbit hole yesterday in terms of, all right, if we got what Dan Lanning was talking about, if we got a, hey, we should break away, what would it look like? Okay. My first idea, Josh Hodson, was, all right, 40 teams in one division, 40 teams in a second division, and then 58 teams in a third division. You do relegation style soccer. Three divisions. Then you would have 4 conferences, and then you would put 10 teams in each conference. I'm going to tell you right now, it was really hard getting down to 40 teams.
Oh, you actually did that.
I tried doing it.
Okay.
I failed. I couldn't. I was like, how can I eliminate this team? How can I get rid of this team? How can I put this team in the second division? Are we just going to completely punt on Minnesota football? That's where I was getting at. And then I tried doing the whole 5 division 10 teams thing, and then that didn't really work out completely. Then I started thinking everyone wants like a relegation system. Like there's been this whole relegation system idea that people have thrown out, and they said, hey, let's just make college football a little bit closer to pro soccer. The one thing I would proffer up here, and I'm just throwing it out there because maybe we'll get to a point where we bitch and moan and complain about it. So maybe I'm getting ahead of the future complaint. How soccer works with relegation is that everybody plays the same schedule. Everybody plays the same 19 teams twice. You play them once at home. You play them once on the road. Manchester City does not have a harder schedule than Arsenal, which, by the way, congratulations to the Gunners. They won the English Premier League yesterday. First time in quite some time. Shout out to Arsenal.
What a run.
Liverpool doesn't have a harder schedule. Like, you know what I'm saying? They all have the same strength of schedule, minus, how good they are, and they don't have to play themselves. If we were to do a college football relegation system, you'd have a lot of people bitching and moaning about schedules and being like, whoa, we might get relegated as opposed to this team who we know we're better than, but we're going to get relegated because we played the much harder schedule than they did. You're going to have a discussion of, hey, if this actually were to happen, hey, if this team were not to get relegated, the only reason why they didn't get relegated is they didn't have to play the teams that were as hard, as other teams had to do in these divisions. So there's a whole, I went down this rabbit hole, and basically, Josh Hudson, this is all to explain to you. I don't know if there's ever a point where we're all going to be happy. I don't.
Oh, that ship is long sailed.
I don't think we're ever. But even if we do, if Congress does give them, an antitrust exemption and they allow them to do whatever they need to do, and maybe they actually in 10 years sign a collective bargaining agreement and they make these players employees, even if we get down that line to where everything actually happens the way that it should, and we probably know we'll get there eventually. Not everybody is going to be bright-eyed and bushy-tailed and very happy at how this works. I think that we're always just going to come down to having a flawed system in college football. It's just, I think it's better when we have a flawed system as a collective entity, as opposed to having a flawed system where we're all separated and all have our ulterior motives. And that's the problem with college football right now. It's just way too many cooks in the kitchen, way too many conferences, way too many commissioners, way too many power brokers, way too many people who think they're important, and way too many people who are standing in the way of actual progress getting done. And we have just so many different irons in the fire at this point in terms of how do we push things towards progress to the point where you actually have some continuity and unity when it comes to college football. And we're all going to be tripping over ourselves until something drastic happens to the point where we go, all right, these are decisions that we're making. So it's all fun and games. It's just all a bunch of just nobody knows what's going on until a court order comes through and says, this is what is happening. And then even that court order comes through, and a couple of months later, a guy like Will Wade says, screw that. I'm not adhering to that at all. We talk about the LSU basketball team coming up next.
Yeah, except now I've got to do more and try to keep Jimmy on the rails.
Good luck with that, Dan.
All right, we've had Bill text in here.
Bill?
I'm trying to help Bill out.
Bill Self?
No, not Bill Self. That'd be a great Wacky Guess Wednesday, though.
Okay, I'll put it on the list. I don't get your hopes up.
Be better than Joey Colbert.
Oh, got him.
It would be.
Well, I mean, yeah. That doesn't mean Joey's bad. It just means Bill Self would be a great
Bill
guest.
Self would be way better than Joey. What? We got to beat around the bush? We don't want to hurt people's feelings? Bill Self would be 1,000% better guest than Joey Colbert. Josh, don't. Come on. Don't defend people just to defend people.
Bill Self wouldn't antagonize you, though.
He probably would if he got to know me a little bit better. I mean, that kind of is the thing. I mean, we just had Michael Severe come on the show and tell me how much people disliked me at an event he was at.
They put me in a corner for an hour.
For an hour? You're talking about me for an hour.
I had to fight my way out.
I'm supposed to feel good about that afterwards when he goes, well, Matt's going to be great nationally one day. I appreciate the kind words, Michael. I don't care, though. That's what Michael said. He's totally right. I don't care. I'm trying to help out Bill. Bill texted me today.
Hi, Bill.
Counting on you today, young Matt. I play in the 530 league after you at Tiburon. Get Slow Boy from your league moving today. Here's the problem, Bill. I'm not playing today. Wasn't scheduled to play, by the way.
Okay.
So I didn't have to. That's the one. It's the whole inconvenience of it all. Like you prepay the days you're supposed to play, and then so if you end up don't playing, you just lose out on the $25. Or this year was $27. Thanks, Tiburon, for increasing the rates. I had to pay an extra $24 this year. But anyway, I'm trying to find for Bill what the tee off times are and whether or not Slow Joe, and our Tiburon league, is when he's teeing off. I don't know when he's teeing off. Honestly, the later the better. Slow Joe tees off. That way that he's not holding up the right. We had six
more
groups
people can
on
get
3.
ahead of
We
him,
had 6 groups on 2 holes because Slow Joe was taking his, dandy ass time. It was ridiculous. Happer goes, thanks for feeding me that audio.
I gave him a little bit of the after hours promo.
Did he?
People like it.
Good luck with that, Dan. My favorite part is, and I try and keep Jimmy on the rails.
This guy.
At 1620 the zone.
It's a good promo.
It's a great promo. What was licking? What the hell did we just listen to?
Was,
People were licking things on the Progressive commercial? What the hell was that?
It was they had an earworm commercial previously with at the dog park.
Oh, did
and
they?
This is a sequel.
At the dog park? Yeah, I didn't know that.
This is a sequel to that commercial.
We used to have a whiskey, no free advertisement. There was a whiskey commercial on in Chicago that I would literally be out with people and I would just be like bum 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 bum. Like it was so bad how big of an earworm that thing is. Now I'm just gonna keep thinking about the entire day. Let's talk about something that a lot of people will be talking about the entire day, and honestly, weeks come at this point. Will Wade, what a POC. Unbelievable. John Walker, a valiant man, a good man, John Walker is. And, brought up some points when it came to Will Wade. Will Wade is just a guy who is trying to win as many basketball games as possible. That does not make him exempt from the fact that he's selfish. He's selfish. He's a piece of crap.
It's a little like our conversation yesterday involving the NCAA and gambling when the nice caller said, but the NCAA makes money from gambling. And we went, yeah.
But here's the problem. Can I tell you the difference between those two situations? What Texas Tech is trying to accomplish with Brendan Sorsby and giving him an injunction that would allow him to play while his court case with the NCAA is processing and going through and trying to figure it out. Allowing him to play under these gambling allegations would be a precedent setter, right? It would set an entirely different precedent from what we've seen in the past. Past precedent has told us in multiple cases, hey, you gamble, you're dumb, brother. Especially if you gamble on your own team, you're done. Sayonara. See you later. Don't want to be you. You know what I'm saying? Gone. And if Brendan Sorsby were to be allowed to play, it would completely upset a precedent that I don't think anybody has a problem with. Who has anybody really had a problem with the precedent that was set between athletes gambling in the NCAA and maybe in some, and not even maybe, in some cases, point shaving games that they were participating in? Has anyone been upset with that precedent? Has anyone been upset that athletes who were told specifically not to gamble getting punished for gambling? Has anybody been mad with that? No. So that's that situation. That situation would be completely setting a new precedent. And funny enough, a very rare precedent nobody had a problem with in the NCAA, because it seems like we have a lot of problems with precedents in the NCAA. That would be completely rewriting something that is set in stone. This, what Will Wade is doing, is reopening Pandora's box. Because Scott Drew and Nate Oates, separately, in different instances, but together, opened up a Pandora's box with G League players coming in, with formerly drafted players coming in, with guys who had signed two-way contracts coming in and playing. Like that was a whole, like they opened that box. And when that Bediako situation was going on, we were all like, man, if they don't figure this out, if they don't stop, if they allow this Charles Bediako guy to play, it'll be the end of college basketball in a way as we know it, because we will see so many more guys who flamed out in the NBA, who declared for the NBA draft, who ended up getting drafted. See so many more guys try and get back into the college basketball landscape, and that would completely disrupt and just blow up, honestly, college basketball as we know it. We would stop recruiting from the high school ranks, and we immediately start looking at G League guys and guys who were previously drafted. And when the correct decision was made, we all went, hallelujah. Thank God. All right, we're going to operate as normal, okay? And there still is some caveats, like Providence signed a guy that played in the G League, right? And, the Merkovich and Ivasic in Illinois, they played for the Montenegro Pro Basketball League before they got to Champaign. There still are things that we're trying to clear up, but the main point being players who signed two-way contracts and players who were drafted, no. All right? You knew what you were doing. You knew what the consequences were when you declared for the NBA draft. You knew, what you're doing and you were signing that NBA contract. RJ Lewis knew what he was doing in 2025. RJ Lewis had opportunities, could go and play college basketball elsewhere, to sign big contracts, could go and play college basketball coming off of his 2025 Big East Player of the Year campaign. He knew what the decisions were. He made that decision, and that was set in stone. And now Will Wade, after a precedent with Charles Bediako has been set, has decided to reopen that discussion and once again leave it up to decision of whether or not that is allowed. And people are pissed about it. First off, here is NCAA guidance that was released a week ago. This is from the NCAA. I got this from the Field of 68, their emails they give me every day. Anyone who has entered an agreement with, competed on, or received compensation from the NBA teams won't be eligible. That came a week ago. The NCAA said anybody who signed an agreement, competed with, or got money from an NBA team, you aren't eligible for college basketball. And yet Will Wade has decided to go and sign RJ Lewis and open up this Pandora's box again. And he signed a guy, Saliu Niang, who was drafted 58 overall by Cleveland and was a drafted stash guy, and who's been playing in Italy. I mean, it is one of the more selfish things that I've seen in college basketball in terms of the fact of a guy who knows what the rules are, who knows what the precedent is, but also knows that the NCAA is pretty weak. If we go through the right things, we can expose a weak system and we can completely ruin how things are done in college basketball. And I'm going to do it just so I can win more games. And I don't really care about the state of the game. And I don't care about the precedent that was set in the past. I don't care about the fact that nobody agrees with what I'm doing, whether it be fans, whether it be coaches, whether it be media, does not matter. And that's just, it's just selfish. And on top of that, it's just straight up, it just pisses me off, really.
It feels like a big, well, we tried. If they say no, they say, what's the worst they could say? No.
It's just one of those things, Josh, where it's like that already happened though with Nate Oates. Like Nate Oates did that and said, what are they going to say? All right, fine. We got him for 11 games. We needed help in our front court. He gave us help in our front court. It helped us when it came to NCAA seeding. All right, we did it, moved on. Nobody else was doing this crap. Nobody else was signing guys who signed NBA contracts already. We already all moved on from this. And everybody agreed that it was good that we moved on from it. Everybody was in agreement that, yeah, once you start signing guys who already signed NBA contracts, that's when you just completely lose the plot of entirely of college basketball. And this asshat says, damn with that, damn with the sport you love, damn with the integrity we've established, damn with the precedent that would have already been set in stone. I'm Will Wade. I do what I want. I don't care. I don't, and like, I sometimes I respect people who go, I don't care. Because I don't care what people think about me. I don't care what people say about me. That's how Connor Happer is. Happer is all the time. He's like, I don't care what people say. I respect that about Happer. But I don't respect that attitude of I don't care when it goes ahead and affects everybody else negatively. I don't respect that when you go, oh, I don't care, and then you do it to the detriment of everything else that is happening around you. And that's exactly what Will Wade is doing. Will Wade is doing stuff that is detrimental to the foundation of what college basketball is. Do you know what his average age of his current roster is right now?
Oh, wow. With RJ, including
Yes,
RJ Lewis?
including RJ Lewis.
I mean, it's got to be, I'll go 23.
It's 23 years old on the dot.
Come
the 7 guys that he has on his roster, 161 years in total. 7 times 23 is 161 on the dot. Average age is 23 years old. They have 3 guys who were drafted in the NBA. They have 3 guys who played in Euro leagues and 1 guy who signed an NBA contract. The EuroLeague guys I can get over a little bit because a lot of people are doing that. And that's a thing where it's like, all right, maybe that's something that needs to be fixed, but at the same time, we can, like, it's kind of understood that a lot of other teams are doing it, okay? This one is just, no, you violated the rule. You violated the rule that is going to wreck the foundation of college basketball. I'm not for it. I'm not for it at all. Will never be for it. Let's do a little bit of car washing. We'll talk about some flag football. We'll talk about the NCAA. We'll talk about some local Nebraska sports. We'll kind of hit a bunch of high notes before we get to our wacky guest at 1 o'clock here on Middays with Matt. We got some pretty big news here. I believe it happened.
What do we got? What do we got?
While we were in the middle of the last break.
Yes, it did.
And then we talked about it, and now something that we did report on earlier in the show. It was a bong bomb.
We had it first.
The fact that Jordan Agbanama was trending in the direction of committing to the University of Nebraska, the interior offensive lineman from Loganville, Georgia, the top 75 prospect, according to Rivals, the number 6 interior offensive lineman. We reported to you that he was trending towards committing to Nebraska, but still had some official visits to make to 4 different programs. Don't matter.
The Fong Bomb is undefeated.
He has decided to announce his decision on Wednesday live on the Pat McAfee Show. We didn't have the McAfee Show on today, but apparently he was on there. He announced his commitment. The 6'3", 315-pounder first visited Nebraska in the fall to see the Huskers take on Michigan State. He came away impressed with the game day atmosphere in Lincoln and was drawn by the passion of the fan base.
Which game did he go to? Does it say?
It says Michigan State. Michigan State.
Okay.
He went to. Agbanama says it was a great atmosphere. I love the fans. I love that they stand with them. They're pretty passionate about football in Nebraska. Just a great program overall. He feels like the program is on the rise, according to Timmy V. This is all the writing of Tim Verghese, who published this about a half hour ago. So thank you to Tim. Great job reporting on that. A massive commitment. Jordan Agbanama commits to Nebraska, the number 6 interior offensive lineman in the country in the class of 2027. Jeep Wade, team clap. Good stuff. I go team clap. Team clap. 1, 2, 3. That's what we would do in hockey because we didn't want to clap it up too much for guys. So we would, because we don't want it to get in their head. We'd just be like, hey, Shorzy had a great shift out there. Hell of a game. 2 goals, 1 assist. Way to keep hitting out there. Team clap for Shorzy. 3, 2, 1. And then you do enough team claps where you go, team clap, and then you just know, it right away.
You know the count anymore. Yeah.
Then it becomes like cheer squaddy, right? Where it's just like, well, 3, no. It's just like, hey, Josh, way to produce today. Way to hit those buttons. Had a couple of great drops. Awesome job. Team clap for Josh. Dang it.
It's a little
My 3-2-1 is a little faster than other people's 3-2-1s.
3 is a long time, okay?
It's fair. Also, 3 is pretty big, too. It's a big number, if you ask me. Huge number.
Plenty.
Above average number, the number 3. Or just average? We just go on an average number, 3?
Yeah, let's
segue.
I'll meet you there.
Let's segue. So J-Man goes 16-20, the timing needs some practice.
Very white.
Well, come on. We can. All right. J-Man, great comment. Team clap for J-Man. There you go. Pretty big news for just sports in general coming from CBS that does have to do with Nebraska. As people do know, Nebraska athletics, on sort of on the cutting edge here when it comes to flag football. Power conference team introducing flag football. I want to give credit to Huskers.com/flag football overview. A lot of frequently asked questions with some great answers when it comes to the flag football team. Nebraska flag football plans to have their first competitive season in the spring of 2028. Okay. Now, they have a class of 2026. They actually recently got a commitment to the class of 2026. Emmy Murphy.
Okay, this was my question because I've seen a few graphics like committed, and now I'm like, well, how old are these people?
So Emmy Murphy, she recorded 1,838 receiving yards in 2 seasons at St. Thomas Aquinas in Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
Sounds pretty good.
She's a 6-foot dual sport athlete and is a part of the class of 2026. She previously was committed to play volleyball for Troy. On the volleyball court, she was an outside hitter who averaged 3 kills per set and hit 26 hitting percentage as a senior. The Huskers now have 8 players on their very first flag football roster. Now, on the overview on Huskers.com,
how many do you need?
It actually, so Nebraska plans to fill out its roster quickly after a coach is hired and hope to have approximately 15 players on a roster by the fall of 2026.
This is outdated. The website. We have a coach.
We do have a coach now.
And an assistant.
And we are heading into the fall of 2026. Now, for people who may not know, the coaches, Liz and Katie Sowers, twin sisters, Liz will be the head coach. Her twin sister, Katie, will be the associate head coach.
Katie coming from the Niners. She was in a Visa commercial or something like that.
As being a groundbreaking assistant in flag or in the NFL, and then eventually has major pedigree when it comes to coaching in flag football. The roster will increase to 20 or 25 players for the 2027-2028 academic year. Here is the plan, though. The plan is to have 15 scholarship players available in the first year, and then it'll increase to 20 in year 2 and then 25 in year 3. So in 2026, Nebraska is discussing a schedule for the inaugural season, starting with Division I schools with existing flag football programs and engaging with other programs as they add the sport. Now, there's a key line in here. With the NCAA's announcement of flag football as an emerging sport, it is expected that a number of schools will add this as a varsity sport in the coming months. If we go to a CBS article today, released, Shahan, I don't know how to say his last name. He's a really great writer. People are going to get mad at me about it. I follow him on Twitter. He's a great follow.
Sorry, I'm not familiar.
Shahan Jayaraja. I don't know how to say his name. I apologize. He's a phenomenal writer. My apologies. The NCAA takes big steps toward adding flag football as a championship sport by 2028. Formal approval of the sport by each of the 3 NCAA divisions is expected in 2027. It adds that the NCAA took a key step towards adding flag football as an official championship sport as a key committee formally endorsed sponsoring the sport. If approved, the first national championship could be held as soon as the spring of 2028. And the end of the article, it mentions that the Big 12 is the first major conference to explore adding women's flag football as an official varsity sport, with at least 6 member schools expressing interest at adding teams by 2028. The Big South became the first Division I conference to officially sponsor the sport. Nebraska is the first major school to formally add the sport. This is a quote from Charlie Baker, the president of the NCAA. The college level growth of flag football has been significant, as many as 60 schools sponsoring it as the varsity level this spring, and this recommendation reflects that. With the sport headed to the 2028 Olympics, the timing couldn't be better for women who might not have had a path to compete at the college level before. That's worth celebrating. How big is this sport going to be at Nebraska? I'm genuinely curious.
So whatever it is, I think it's going to be one of those things like volleyball 20 years ago, where the rest of the country kind of goes, wow, Nebraska was really ahead of the curve on that one. Right? Like,
I agree.
I don't know how many people are going to go. I don't know if it's going to be watchable for but Nebraska's going to be ahead of the curve on this thing. Clearly.
I think this thing's going to be popping. I think this thing is going to work.
It is going to spring of 28, right?
Yeah.
So it would be a few months before it debuts at the Olympics in LA.
I think this.
So that second season could be kind of fun, kind of big.
And where Nebraska is situated, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hiring the coaches that they've hired, already investing, in terms of building this roster, having the plan that they have, the investment behind this. Nebraska's going to be good at this right away. Like, you got to think that Nebraska immediately is going to compete.
Certainly they have a leg up on everyone else,
and I
right?
think if we've learned anything this year, Josh Otson, through Nebraska sports, if you build it, they will come. And we've already known that with Nebraska sports, but like even to a level on a national degree that people go, oh my God, Oklahoma City has been taken over by a football school in the NCAA basketball tournament. This is incredible. Right? To the point where you have a softball stadium that is selling out 3,200 tickets, on the regular for playoff games. To the point where it's like, man, if Nebraska baseball makes a massive run and gets to the College World Series, it will be national news how many Nebraska fans show up to Omaha to support their team. Like, this is an athletic department. And I think in part it has to do with the lack of success of football, that people are just so hungry for a winner. That even each sport about Nebraska athletics have always had their supporters. They've always had their diehards, but you just see more and more people willing to hop on and be like, no, I want to be a part of this run. I think if flag football can be good right away, it could be another one of those sports we immediately put a lot of like stock into and people are very excited about. All righty, we're going to hit a break here. Let's talk to a wacky guest here on Wednesday on Middays with Matt on the 1620 Zone Radio Network.
It's Wacky Guess Wednesday. Middays with Matt. Who is our guest? We don't know. It could be anybody. It could be an actress. It could be a singer. Could be your mom. A-O, let's go. They're in the green room. Who's our guest? We don't know. They're all booked up and they're ready to go. Hey, Josh, who's a guest? Make them interesting. Don't screw this up, or this will suck.
All right.
It's Wacky Guess Wednesday.
It is Wacky
Middays
Guess
with
Wednesday
Matt.
here on the
Who is
1620
our
The
guest?
Zone Radio Network. Matt McMaster and Josh Hodson on Wacky Guess Wednesday every Wednesday. Josh Hodson books a guest. I have no clue who they are, except Josh knows, and this guest does know that they are a wacky guest, which means they probably are familiar with this program. Josh, who are we talking to today?
Well, with all the talk today, even the title of the show, All My Homies Hate Will Wade. One of the focal points in sports right now is the villainous head coach of LSU. So I needed to get a ball knower, just so you guys could bitch back and forth about Will Wade and other things. Ladies and gentlemen, Jacob Bigelow.
Whoa! Biggs! How are you?
Hey, buddy.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm happy to be here, man. Happy to be a wacky guest this week. So yeah, no, this rules. I'm happy to be here.
This is a long time coming. Who's more of a problem, Will Wade or Rick Stansberry?
I think it's that entire staff. I don't think it's just Will Wade. I think if you look at that entire staff from top to bottom, it's like real life blue chips happening right before our eyes. I mean, Rick Stansberry, I mean, people don't just call you Slick Rick one day, like you got to earn that. And then, I mean, the rest of that, it's like, it's Rick, it's Johnny Jones, and I forget who the third full-time assistant is, but all of them under Will. I mean, it's like real life modern day blue chips taking place in Baton Rouge.
What, like, does NC State, you think, in a way, kind of feel like, do they feel good about themselves in a way because they're like, thank God we're not a part of that mess? Or do they kind of look at it and they're like, hey, maybe we should have given him the reins because we wouldn't mind being good? Like, what is NC State looking back and feeling like right now?
Oh, I mean, anyone who signs up for the Will Wade experience knows what they signed up for.
Sure.
There was talk last year of trying to get RJ Lewis to NC State. Like, this was not a whole new, like, this is like Will Wade's been on the the RJ Lewis thing for more than a year now. I think that, his general manager at NC State, I forget if he followed him to LSU or not. It's one of like the better like scouts in like the basketball community for a while. Like, people didn't even know what his face looked like until he had to take a headshot to be the NC Andrew Slater. People didn't know what Slater's face looked like until he had to take a headshot to be the GM at NC State. But I think that they're kind of just like, I think if Will Wade had inevitably had stayed at NC State, there'd be similar conversations going on. It would just be, based out of Raleigh, and it wouldn't be based out of Baton Rouge.
According to Jacob Bigelow, what is the college basketball job that is more likely to be open at the end of next season, Kentucky or Kansas?
I'm going to say Kansas, but I think it's close. I think there's a world where both of them. I'm kind of been expecting the Bill Self retirement tour for the last 2 years. The last two teams of his have tried to put him out. I feel like
they gave him a run for their money 2 years ago, and last year probably less so, but still it was tough, especially with the whole Peterson thing going on.
Yeah, and it's like opposite ends of the spectrum. Like, if you're a Kansas basketball fan, like going into this past year, I was like, maybe he's learned his lesson from trying to, just have, give bags to the highest bidder, with not the highest bidder, just be the highest bidder and bag off for Hunter Dickinson and AJ Storr and all these high profile guys. And going into last year, I'm like, okay, they know Peterson's going to get all the attention. They're going to try to have guys who can maybe make threes. Like, maybe he's learned his lesson. And both experiences were still painful watches. And I can only imagine what they were like to be Bill Self, who, I'm not looking to make jokes about his health problems, like he has heart problems, like that is well established. So coaching is a stressful profession, and he's been I'm sure his cardiologist has been on standby plenty these last few years of Kansas basketball, with two pretty different roster construction methods.
Okay, so let's do a little not revisionist history. Let's just do history here. Kyle Neptune, or Kyle Ineptitude, some might call him, takes over at Villanova. Does not go well. Adrian Autry takes over at Syracuse. Succession plan does not go well. We saw what happened at North Carolina. Hubert Davis, succession plan does not go well. Let's say Bill Self ends up retiring. Do those three instances, Autry, Ineptitude, and Hubert Davis, does it influence Kansas to go with an outside hire, or do they go with Jacques Vaughn, which a lot of people think that they would do if Self were to step down?
Yeah, I think it's going to be it's going to be an inflection point regardless when the time comes. But I think the Bill Self camp, I think, is going to be pushing for Vaughn. He was the interim this past year when Self couldn't, had a health flare up and he had to miss a game.
And the former Brooklyn Nets head coach at one point.
Yeah, he's
too.
a former NBA head coach. Yeah. We're seeing Carolina hired Malone. Like, the NBA guys coaching in college isn't as foreign as it used to be. But then at the same time, like, Kansas is still Kansas, and there's always gonna be money. There's always gonna be support. Just look at Tyron Stokes already posted pictures with a wad of money in his hand in his living room after committing to Kansas. There's always gonna be that when it comes to Kansas basketball, and I think that is like the white whale job for a few coaches who are pretty happy and comfortable with where they're at now. But if Kansas came calling, you're going to pick up the phone, whether it's the booster support, the Adidas of it all. There's plenty of factors that would, I think, have a lot of guys pick up the phone. So it's going to be quite, it's going to be an inflection point when the time comes. And I continue to believe you never want to be the guy after the guy. And in the college basketball world these days, there's kind of only been one of those that's gone successfully recently, and that's John Shire at Duke, who Coach K made sure to say recently when asked, what's the difference between John's situation and Stephen Pearl's situation? Coach K just goes, "Well, John's not my son." So that was a fun quote recently.
What is Kansas the best job in college basketball, or is there another one?
I think it is.
Do you think Kentucky would? How close is Kentucky to that?
It's both of them. They're 1A and 1B. They've had an interesting run of it these last couple years, and it sounds familiar to some conversations we have about college football jobs as well. But Kentucky. Kentucky, what a difference a couple of years makes. The introduction they had for Pope, where they had that whole championship team get off the bus. They're like, he's one of us. He's one of our guys. This can only go well. So now he's just like the meme of the offseason is Mark Pope and recruiting in the portal. And
dude, it's bad. It's bad. They haven't been able to get anybody.
Yeah, it's bad.
It's bad.
Kansas, it's bad. Kansas, by comparison, I'm on the record of it's 2026. Your history is what it is in college sports. Like, it's about what you are today more than your history. But like, Kansas basketball has only had one coach ever with a record under 500, and it's the guy who literally invented the sport. Dr. James Naismith is the only head coach in the history of Kansas basketball with an under 500 record. They've only fired one coach ever. It's that kind of job. It's that kind of place. Whether it's Allen Fieldhouse, whether it's, the support that I talked about earlier, I think that, Kansas will always be the pinnacle job in college basketball.
Ben McCollum already saw one dream job get open and him not able to get it, which was Northern Iowa. If Kansas were to open, you're pretty tuned in. You're pretty locked into the people in and around him. You got a lot of, I don't want to, not revealing too much, but your read on McCollum, if that Kansas job were to open, is what?
My read is that's kind of the only job that I see him leaving Iowa for. Obviously, the numbers would have to match up. The timing, everything would have to match up pretty well. But I think that's kind of the only job that Ben McCollum would leave Iowa for all the reasons we've talked about already. But then also the familiarity with the region. He was at Northwest Missouri State for as long as he was, and then he went to Drake, went to Iowa. You're dealing with some of the same high school coaches, AAU coaches, just basketball people in basketball circles at Kansas that are, in this region that he was around for so many years at Northwest and is still around, at Iowa. He's only been a coach in this region since his playing days at Northwest Missouri State. Kansas is obviously the North Star of Midwest basketball, and I just said college basketball in general. So I kind of feel like that's the only job that would get him away from Iowa because, he's a Stormlight kid, grew up idolizing Hawkeye basketball, but Kansas is still Kansas at the end of the day.
All right, I'm going to give you some transfer portal winning teams, and you tell me if you're in on their haul or in on their team if you're out on their team, okay? I'm going to give you in and out here. We'll just go through pretty rapid fire. Number one, Louisville and Pat Kelsey. They're the number one team ranking, in or out?
I am in.
Okay.
I'm tentatively in. My question with them remains Pat Kelsey. I like Shellstead a lot. I think Badunga, as the season went on, got better and better. He was such a fun watch. I think Louisville and Indiana definitely got the keys to the Adidas money faucet this portal. They definitely spent the most out of the big name Adidas schools. KU obviously landed Stokes, but their portal haul was kind of meh. So I'm tentatively in on Louisville.
In or out in Indiana?
I'm going to have to resist the urge to talk to be all in on Indiana this summer.
Okay.
I'm already feeling it. It's like Michael J. Fox and Teen Wolf. I can feel the wolf coming on. It's like the Indiana itch. I'm trying to fend off being talked into that portal group. They needed size. They added size. They needed they needed some athleticism. They went and got plenty of that. Obviously, this is going to be the first Darren DeVries coach team at the college level in a while where his son isn't on it, isn't a part of it.
Yeah.
So we're going to learn a lot about Darren DeVries next year, one way or another. But I'm in on that.
In or out on Providence?
I am out.
Okay.
I'm in Believe It When I See It with Hodgson and with that Providence group.
In or out? No, I'm trying to find a good one for you here. This is a good one. In or out on Michigan?
As long as Dusty May's the head coach, it's tough to not be in.
Yeah.
The things that he's shown us these last couple of years, it's. I'm not going to underestimate. I don't think they're going to be a wagon, a full. They weren't just the wagon; they were the whole caravan this past season. I think they're not going to be as dominant as they were, but I think they're still going to be really good, and they're still going to be really big. He continues to double down on multiple posts, multiple dudes who are 6'10" or taller. People laughed at him when he originally brought Vlad Goldman, Danny Wolf in, and then he's like, you know what? I'm going to get even bigger. We're going to have even more size. And he continues to do it. So I'm not going to, underestimate Dusty as long as he's still the head coach of Michigan.
He brings in Wolf and Golden in, and then he ends up running the pick and roll with those two guys. It was absolutely ridiculous. It was insane. In or out of Nebraska?
I'm in. I like this group. It wasn't as flashy as some people thought it would be. There was, people still are like, well, I thought they were going to go all in on the portal. I thought they were going to go all in. And it's like, what I have to reemphasize to so many people is, Fred Hoiberg has been an executive. He's been in a front office. He's been, when he got to Iowa State, he had never been a coach before. All of his experience was playing in the NBA or in the front office in the NBA. He's got a system of how he finds fits and guys that he thinks are going to fit his system. And I don't think that, they were bargain bin shopping by any means. I think they did a lot of background, did a lot of, investigation on who would fit. And I really like this group, especially Sam Orme or Orme, whatever. I like that. I like that a lot. I think he's not getting talked about enough. I think he's the crown jewel of that portal class, and then obviously bringing back Price and Frager, you love that too. But I think that trio of Price, Frager, and Orm is gonna get plenty of buckets for Nebraska next year. I'm in.
All right, Jacob Bigelow's way too early top 3 college basketball teams before the 2026-2027 season are what?
Holy moly.
Your
You
top
are putting
3.
me
On the
wow.
spot, Bigelow. If you want to keep coming
Dude,
on the show, you got to perform.
I haven't even thought about it. I know one team you didn't mention in the portal group, but I know they're going to be preseason top 10, and I'm really in on them, is Texas.
I like that. Sean Miller got the bag, man. Woo.
Sean Miller found the money. He year one at Texas gets them to a Sweet 16. They retain, and then they also reload with the portal group that they brought in, especially like the Mikey Lewis ad, St. Mary's. He watched him go nuclear on Nebraska at the Pentagon a couple years ago up close. And I think, the SEC basketball heyday of sorts where all but like 2 teams made the tournament 2 years ago. I think we're on the downswing of that. So I really do like Texas. I'm trying to think. I mean, this tells you how much I've been thinking about college basketball.
You go Duke.
I mean,
how about Illinois? How about Illinois?
Oh, Illinois, definitely. Yeah, I mean, they're
Stojakovic might come back. That's a rumor. People are floating around.
If Stojakovic comes back, I mean, that's your new like wagon watch from the Big Ten, because they'll be bringing everybody but Wagler back, but replacing him with Stephen Vox from Providence. I really like that. I mean, that team would be nasty, and I'm very pro David Merkovich. I'm very pro the fact that nobody on that roster was media trained, and they just said out-of-pocket stuff all season long. It was wildly entertaining. So, Texas, Illinois. I don't think there's a third orange team that I could throw in there.
Not Cuse.
No. Tennessee. I'm not going to say
no.
Tennessee,
Get out of here.
But people are giving a lot of love to Tennessee this offseason.
No thanks.
I've mostly just been thinking
you gonna give any love to your boy Nico?
He's not going to be a top 3 team in the country, but I am going to be spending the summer, preaching the gospel of the year 2 Nico Medved bump that will soon be coming to Minnesota basketball. It's going to be a fun season next year for the guys that I have ties to. Not to toot my own horn too much, but that's mostly where my thoughts have been this college basketball offseason. Like, I'm going to get to go see Gonzaga play in Fort Collins next year in the new Pac-12. That's going to rock. Minnesota brought back the majority of their team, and they, had some good portal ads. That's going to be a fun watch. There's a lot to look forward to. Obviously, I've got some ties at Texas as well.
Yeah.
So the programs that I've got some ties to, things are trending up. It's almost like, I choose to hitch my wagon to, things that are moving in the right direction.
Ali excited about his group?
He is bringing almost everybody back. They only had one senior, and they played a lot, and they only had one portal departure. They brought in a D2 guy. They brought in a guy from one of the East Coast schools, I forget, who's a shooter. And then they have a really good high school class as well. So things are trending up, and they're going to be in the Pac-12 on July 1st. And they're gonna be getting media rights share from the new Pac-12. And I know Colorado State's athletic department, their eventual goal is to be full rev share, full $20 million rev share every year.
Wow.
They are not, they're, that's not your typical mid-major out there. And basketball's trending in the right direction. And then Jim Mora is the football coach there now. So there's things happening. There's things happening in Fort Collins.
You heard it here first. Jacob Bigelow predicting Colorado State and Ali Farouk Manesh to go to the Sweet 16. You heard it here first.
I wouldn't be opposed.
It'd be nice tickets is what it would be. It would be a nice media pass.
It'd be great tickets. I'm not gonna pretend like that'd be great. I gotta talk to Ali and Nico soon for my summer project that I'm gonna be working on. That's what we call a tease. But I think it's gonna be a fun basketball season for friends of Jacob Bigelow.
Hey,
once October and November comes around.
Don't forget about future Wacky Guest Wednesday guest Tim Miles.
Yeah, just got a $4 million gift for San
Jose
State basketball.
All right now, team clap for Tim.
The largest gift in program history, and things. New era in the new Mountain West for Coach Miles. Yeah, I'm sure at some point this summer he'll be in this time slot one way or another. He'll find his way. And as long as you don't spend the entire interview asking him about what I was like in college, it'll be great content for your listeners.
I appreciate great content as always. This was great content in and of itself. Jacob Bigelow, you are the man. I appreciate you very much. We will talk to you. Well, I'll talk to you over a beer at some point, but we'll see you down the line.
Line's always open for Middays with Matt. Appreciate the time. Always good to talk to you, brother.
Always good to talk to you too. I'll see you later, Biggs. Hell of a get. Josh Hodson, hell of a get. Great job.
Thank you.
Great job. Very wacky, very guesky, very Wednesday.
Yeah, it hit the three things we were really looking for.
It needs to be on a Wednesday.
Uh-huh.
It needs to be a guest.
Uh-huh.
And they need to be wacky.
Check.
Typically, we only hit two of those things.
Right.
One of them. Last week, we only hit one of them.
Oh, no.
It was a Wednesday. When I consider Joey a guest,
Gosh,
no.
Was that a week ago?
I would consider him a pest, is what I would consider.
I thought the segment was Wacky Pest Wednesday.
Oh, it was kind of wacky. I got uncomfortable when I started asking about his haircut.
It did.
And apparently, that was a no-go. I could talk about everything else except for the head of hair on Joey
budging.
Colbert's head. No, not at all. He did not want to play that game.
Mm-mm.
That was fun. That was a good interview. Love just talking very niche, minuscule, miscellaneous college basketball on a random May Wednesday. I mean, it's more entertaining than talking about, hey, the CSC and Congress and, jackasses making decisions for people that nobody wants to be made. Much better doing that or much better talking to Bigelow about, will Ben McCollum be the next head coach of Kansas? God, I hope so. Only because I do not want him to be in Iowa for a very long time.
Okay, that makes sense. Sure.
Literally.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to worry about Ben McCollum nearly as much as he is the Kansas Jayhawks head coach, as opposed to him being the Iowa head coach.
You can kind of appreciate it from afar if he's at Kansas, but at Iowa,
it's almost
like,
just like he's
really
so
messing up my
he's just
vibe.
so far, like they're title contenders every year and they're in a different conference. It feels like they're so far away. Like when is Nebraska or Northwestern, the two teams that I watch when are they ever going to play Kansas? They would only ever play Kansas in either round of 32 or an Elite Eight. One of those teams could get there. Northwestern may never make another NCAA tournament in my lifetime. And can I be real with you? Completely okay with it. Completely fine. I got the golden years of Northwestern basketball. I got my Nick Martinelli. I got my Brooks Braunheiser. I got my Boo Booey. Got my Kelly. My Kelly Lindsay. I got Bryant McIntosh. I got everything I wanted. I got Vic Law. You can never take Ty Berry away from me, Josh Hudson.
I wouldn't try.
Exactly. You know better. What are we going to talk about next?
It's really your call.
We have some breaking news when it comes to the Brendan Sorsby trial. We talk about that coming up next year on Middays.
Now back to Middays with Matt on 1620 The Zone.
It's not a Friday, but it is
It's
all.
not.
It is all.
You're sure?
I don't know how I feel like when you know that you have a day off on a Monday coming up. Like you're excited, but I feel like you're not really excited until that Saturday hits. Like I feel like I don't get excited about a Monday day off until Saturday night.
Okay.
Because Saturday night, it kind of hits you around like 10 p.m. Like, ooh, I only have like 3 carefree hours left. And then I'm going to have to wake up tomorrow. And then I probably have like 4 hours where I can just have a day off. And then immediately I'm thinking about, all right, I have to go back to work the next day, right? Like that's kind of how I approach a Sunday. It doesn't hit me until I have a Monday off until that Saturday night. And I go, oh my God, I get another Saturday tomorrow. Like I get another full day to just
another free
not worry about anything. And then Monday, you're kind of like, all right, I'm ready.
Well,
I'm ready to
wasted
go.
the whole weekend. I got to do stuff.
I know. But now, like I said, it's on a Friday, but it is baseball. Ohio State currently taking on Rutgers right now at the Chuck box bottom of the second, 0-0, as Rutgers currently pitching to, look at that last name on the Rutgers pitcher. Konstantinovsky. I can't even say that. Those are way too many consonants and none of the vowels in that last name. I also want to remind you that Creighton baseball in action today at 6:30. The game originally scheduled to be at 10 o'clock got pushed back to 11. Then it got pushed back to 12. Now it's gotten pushed back all the way to 6:30. Our very favorite friend, Connor Happer, who is currently in our YouTube stream, having his breakfast, lunch, and then I guess dinner all at Prasco Park tonight as the Blue Jays will take on St. John's, a very big matchup in the Big East tournament. Our Big East tournament expert, Connor Happer, has told us in the chat that he believes that Creighton has a 1-in-4 chance at winning in the Big East tournament.
That's just simple math. It's a 4-team tournament.
You want to do Steiner math? What's right now? Typically, you got a 50-50 chance of beating the Creighton Blue Jays, but you add in Prasco Park, that gives me a 12% advantage. I'm a freak. I'm not normal, is what Mark Kingston would say about his coaching style. Or maybe I don't know. I don't know what Mark Kingston would say about himself, but you can find out what Mark Kingston will say about himself later today on Unsportsmanlike Conduct, as he will join the boys, John and Josh, to talk about his team's journey to the NCAA tournament.
Team clap for Matt. That was a good segue.
I'm even putting it in front of the camera for you to see when I'm coming. We got to be better.
It's on me. I point the thumb.
We will be perfect in every aspect of the game. You miss a clap, you run a mile. You miss a button, you run a mile. You hit the wrong drop, and I will stick my shoe up your hind parts, and then you will run a mile. Perfection on Middays with Matt.
I'm here to tell you about how much fun we're going to have.
I haven't seen that movie in 15 years. Like, I refuse to watch the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man movies because when I watch them again, I want them to be like a new experience. Like I want to forget so much that I'm watching it for the first time again.
Sure.
I feel that way about Remember the Titans. I'm trying to forget everything I can about that movie so I can rewatch it again.
Husker Country Doc in the YouTube chat. He is correct. It is John Brown.
I know, but I'm referring it to me, and that wouldn't be appropriate for me to say to you.
Your foot isn't brown?
No, it's white. Very white. I come from the mountains of Caucasus. And then I have like a little hint of, that's a Cat Williams quote.
I'm not familiar with Cat Williams' game.
Cat Williams is in Omaha, and I had the opportunity to see him, and I didn't see him. Dude, have you watched the Kevin Hart roast?
I saw some clips.
I tried watching it all the way through. I actually made it through half hour. I got through half hour of the roast and before I turned it off.
Generally how you consume content.
No,
is
but
30
that
minutes at a time.
no, but like I'm not hankering to go back.
Yeah,
I'm good with seeing
those are
clips.
generally bad. There's usually like 2 or 3 good little snippets in there. That's why I was watching it through clips, is because
Well, Cat Williams probably had the best little snippet of it. Shane Gillis did a pretty good job.
I would agree.
Pete Davidson, I like Pete Davidson. I don't know. Maybe that's
Mm-hmm.
an off take. I'm just a fan of his comedy. I think he's very funny. I think he's a
think
very,
he's
very
funny.
funny guy.
I don't know what I could put him in and have him be funny, but he makes me laugh.
He almost is an uncastable actor.
Like he has to play like a stoner in a Judd Apatow movie or something.
Oh my God, there's D-Wayne right there.
D-Wayne.
He's talking to somebody in the headset. That's crazy.
The other Connor.
The other Connor, yes. The baseball Connor, some are saying.
Okay. It's easy, buddy.
What? I mean, he MCs at a baseball game. Connor announces at baseball games.
That's right.
There's a difference. Some would call Connor the John of baseball, right? Because Connor's doing play-by-play. But John also does play-by-play for baseball. See, all these things are getting up and confused and whatever. I'm just digging myself a hole. I should back out. What was I going to say? Oh, by the way, did you watch what I sent you of Mr. On Blast on SNL?
I have not yet.
What type of friends are we if I send you a video and you don't watch it?
I'm the friend that has to do Class C state baseball to feed his family.
What happened there with the protesting, by the way? Can we get an explanation here?
Well, we had Guardian Angels Central Catholic West Point Beamer put in a picture.
What? Say that again.
Guardian Angels Central Catholic West Point Beamer, the Patriots.
My apologies.
They put in a pitcher who apparently had pitched the day before, was over his pitch count. The Central City Centura Colonels protested. The NSAA and the umpiring crew decided, hey, the app says he can pitch. It's like, we're going by the app. The app is the official word. And the Central City skipper was like, hey, I'm telling you, this guy pitched.
I respect that coach for standing on business.
Yeah.
And being like, no, I don't care what he's kind of like your older grandparent was like, I don't care what the GPS says. I don't care if the GPS tells me to turn left here.
Exactly.
I'm telling you, you turn left down there. You don't turn left right here.
And after the game, the coach and the superintendent and the NSAA had some conversations, some loud conversations about maybe we take a look at the film from the previous game and see if this young man pitched. And they did. He did. So they restarted the 7th inning this morning at Papio South High School.
And what happened?
The same result happened. So it was all for naught, but
actually it didn't.
The Central City scored a run yesterday under protest, and this morning they did not score a run. Yeah. So the official score was 2-0. And I mean, it could have been 2-1. I know it doesn't matter in a tournament whether you lose by 1 run or 2, but
hey, in all seriousness, I'm glad they figured it out. I actually am. I'm glad that they, and you know, that's a tough position to be in at times for everybody. And I'm glad that they came to the conclusion they needed to come to and got the game done with no sort of controversy. Well, with not the added controversy of like, what if it was properly protested, so on and so forth. I'm glad they figured it out. I appreciate you telling that story because it was very interesting. It came over the Twitter feed. That I saw like what the official reporting was. So kudos to you for explaining all that. Kudos to them for figuring it out. We went to the tease talking about the Brendan Sorsby situation. It's been going around Twitter that the Honorable Judge Philip Hayes, who was supposed to be assigned to the Brendan Sorsby case, a Texas Tech alum, has recused himself from Texas Tech and QB Brendan Sorsby versus the NCAA. Judge Philip Hayes, it was going on online of him taking a picture with the Texas Tech mascot with, you know, the guns up. A lot of people were like, wow, this is the guy who's going to be able to make a decision on what would be a unprecedented decision to allow a player who has been caught gambling and admittingly gambling on his own team to continue to play in the NCAA. We're going to let this guy who has a clear bias in the situation to make this decision. He has recused himself from the case, so that will no longer be an issue. So we will see What other judge they end up getting? We got a great email from the Equitable Bank Zone inbox. I do want to read it because it comes from somebody who is incredibly educated on this. Bet-free Mike.
Bet-free Mike
emailed us, and he was he wasn't listening to the Sorsby segment at the time, but I do want to read this because I think it does put a lot of things into perspective from somebody who has personal experience with this. He goes, "Hey gentlemen, didn't get a chance to listen live today, but listen to the segment you two did about the Sorsby situation. Great job and spot on opinions. Sorsby's lawsuit is sickening for the variety of reasons you mentioned. The NCAA and university compliance staff at every school make the gambling rules abundantly clear to every student athlete. I know because I have been a part of those conversations at UNL. The part that bothers me the most is Sorsby stating his disorder is being weaponized. Unfortunately, the claim has merit, as disordered gambling is a disorder in the DSM-5 manual. But making that statement is a slap in the face to people like me and my other friends in recovery who actually faced our consequences. As long as he believes his disordered gambling diagnosis is being weaponized, he has no desire to embrace recovery. Personal accountability is the name of the game if you really want help. And Turkish basketball and the overseas bets, this is a young man chasing both money and dopamine early 24/7. That is textbook problematic gambling behavior. Thanks for what y'all do." This is one of those things where it's like, I was just very bothered by the entire fact that it was just like they acted as if Sorsby had no control in the matter to make decisions at some point in his life in terms of, hey, these are the rules and I'm going to follow these rules. And Mike's right. It is a disorder and it needs to be taken seriously. But I loved what he stated about trying to claim it as it being weaponized is not embracing recovery. And I think no matter what happens, I think we have to take away the point that that is the most important part of this entire story. The fact that Brendan Sorsby gets the help that he needs in order for this to no longer be a factor in his life, because this is a young man, whether or not he plays this season in college football, is on the precipice of making a lot of money for himself and having a potentially really long-standing career in the NFL. And you don't want a disorder like that to potentially detour all of that, which it already is doing in his life, and not allow it to do it even more. So I appreciate the email, Mike. I appreciate your expert insight, and pretty significant news that we were sitting here talking about this case saying, wow, really, they're going to have a judge who is a Texas Tech alum who clearly has a vested interest in this case. We're going to put that power in his hands in order to make a decision that if it were to go to Sorsby's way would be unprecedented. Really, that's what we're doing. A pretty positive for fairness. If you're on team fairness, it's a very positive point of news that you're not going to have that bias in there unless they go ahead and they assign another Texas Tech alum to be the judge. All right, coming up next, there's a lot to watch. I don't know if there's a lot to watch tonight, but there's quality things to watch tonight. Josh Odson will give that all to you, and I'll give you a dog of the day. We might have a ghost dog. We might have a ghost dog here. We might. We got to go. He's 3-0 in his last 3 picks. We will let you know if we have a ghost dog. Coming up next here on Middays with Matt. Josh, what are we watching?
Well, we are watching Game 2 of the Western Conference Finals.
You're damn right we are.
Spurs Thunder 7:30 on NBC. Spurs lead the series 1-0. Also, Game 1 of the Western Conference Finals in the National Hockey League. Vegas and Colorado hooking up at the Big Mason Jar, 7 o'clock on ESPN. Baseball, Blue Jays, Yankees on MLB Network at 6. You got conference tournament baseball all day, all night. Creighton will play sometime today eventually. We believe it to be at 6:30 on Yacht Rock 1180. But who's to say?
Who is to say?
Connor will be on the call when the Blue Jays decide to play. Well, I guess it's not their decision. When the Big East decides to play baseball. WNBA doubleheader on USA. Portland, Indiana at 6. And then it's Dallas and Chicago at 8. And finally on Amazon Prime, a new movie, Tom Clancy's Jack Ryan: Ghost War. Jack Ryan reunites with CIA operatives to navigate a treacherous web of betrayal against an enemy who knows their every move, facing a past they thought was long put to rest.
Isn't this just a Mission Impossible
No,
plot?
it's Tom Clancy's
That's
Jack Ryan.
No, that's the same plot.
They're
Ghost,
completely
it's
different.
literally Ghost Protocol.
No.
There's a syndicate that they know what they're doing because they were former agents and they know exactly where they're going at all points. And it has to do with a guy that Tom Cruise didn't kill in the second Mission Impossible, which was 13 years before that. Isn't that the same plot of
Did
that?
a Mission Impossible movie make AI the bad guy?
Yes, literally. It was the 7th movie where AI, like they literally had to find the key to AI.
Sounds like it's not one Mission Impossible movie, but a few rolled into one.
And that makes it better because
John Krasinski's taller than Tom Cruise.
Is that it in terms of everything we're watching, by the way?
Yes, it is.
Okay, thank you.
All right, folks, let's talk right now. I'm going to kill your bookmaker. I'm going to rip his throat out. I will blow this man out. I will step on his throat until the man chokes. Let me tell you how. Dog. Winners. Dog. Winners. Dog. Winners. Dog. Winners. Dog. Winners. I'm on a roll.
Dude, you gotta love dogs, right?
Kelvin Carr's out tonight. Anyone know that?
Wow.
We're not talking about that? Nobody's talking about
is
that.
News.
Vegas is plus 150. They're a damn good hockey team. John Tortorella is an incredible coach.
Torts.
Vegas is, and this would be a great segment to have with our ghost dog, the fakest expansion team of all time. It was actually one of the best takes I've ever heard because at that point, the NHL was like seething to have a expansion. Like there was way too much talent in the NHL when that expansion draft happened. And Vegas took advantage of it. And then not only did Vegas take advantage of it, but like they were good, but they were good to the point where they could trade for great players after that too, which one of them being Jack Eichel. And they also have Mitch Marner on their team, and they're plus 150 with no Cale Makar. What are we doing? Vegas, you're just giving me money. That's kind of nice of you. I appreciate it. I'm
got to take the
nice.
wins where you can get them.
Absolutely. Well, been doing pretty well in hockey. Making up for the Preakness.
But the Derby hit.
The Derby did hit. If I can get 2 of the 3 jewels of the Triple Crown this year, I'll be very, very excited. That was Middays with Matt. We really appreciate you. Fun show today. Kind of hit a bunch of different topics. Always a good time. We will see you suckers tomorrow on Da's show here on 1620 The Zone. USC and the Crossover coming up next.